That camera right there.
Great observation, bro.
What? I thought you were
All right, greetings, King. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Chris, step on it. You shy.
Oh no, I'm just doing what you move.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Out of respect for everyone's time that's here, I know other people will be coming in, so as they come in, they might, slide past you and things like that. But we all family here, so and we all want to respect each other. So, but I appreciate everyone for coming out. We appreciate everyone for coming out on behalf of Black Men United. I want to say thank you. I got my brothers here with me. I got Chris and I got Pooch here with me. And Black Men United is an organization. It's a grassroots organization for young men. It's a youth organization for uplifting the community. We're in the community trying to restructure the community so it'll look more like us on the behalf of Black men. We understand there's a lot of things going on in the world, and this is the time for Black men to make sure that they have their footprint and have their thumb on the pulse of society and what's going on right now. So this function that we're putting together right now is just an informative, candid conversation that we're having with young Black men, letting them know about rights and about the financial by us, for us in the community, in the Black community, and how we can make sure that our dollars stay in the community more. So again, I just wanted to thank you all for coming out. I'll save some of my time for my brothers. Let Poochie speak, let Chris speak, and then we'll get the show on the road.
As Willie mentioned, I appreciate all y'all coming out today. One thing about it will be one thing that we do need, I'll be very honest with y'all, we need leads. We have no shortage of people recognizing what's wrong, what's going on in the community and stuff like that. But we're a big shortage of people participating in help. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Everybody's not going to be on the same chord in terms of how they see, people might be on different ideologies. But at the end of the day, if you find some organization, be it ours or anyone that you know that is towards the uplift or progression of the Black community, help. Okay, because again, we got enough, people knowing the kids doing this, people doing that, they doing that. We know that. We'll need no more observation on that, but we need legs. So, we would ask you guys, we got on the table over there, a sign-in sheet just for BMU. You put your contact information just so we can keep you, abreast of some of the stuff, like, a newsletter, different communication, things that we may be doing in the community.
Yeah, well, just to piggyback on what those guys just said, everything about BMU is about empowerment for our youth and for our Black brothers. So, like you said, we just need more legs. We need people dedicated to BMU, dedicated to the community. So, as you can see, we got the list over there. You can sign and just be a part of something. This is the first of many that we're going to be having at different locations. So, the candid conversation with BMU is going to be everywhere.
All right. So without further ado, what I want to do is go ahead and get the show on the road. As I stated, people will be coming in. But what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring up the first speaker. His name is Zion, the creator of PASS, and that's pushing against seeds and searching seeds. Protection against searching seeds. Forgive me. And he's going to give you guys a little bit more information about him. So without further ado, help me welcome Zion to the stage. Come on, Zion.
How's everybody?
Good. How you feeling? Good, Ken.
Good.
Yes, sir.
I want to just piggyback off some Pooch.
You good? You good? You good?
Yeah, Pooch was speaking about people that complain, right? And see, Scripture, it tells us that the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers, are few. So, we're being asked, to find more laborers, people that are willing to do the work. And this is what, we're calling for, at this point in time. I find myself, being challenged with that very same thing. It's like people want something, but at the end of the day, they're really not willing to work. Well, it doesn't appear, that a number of these people are willing to work, for what they want. And it's almost as if people expect for somebody to kind of just make something out or, to give it to them. But that don't work for us, right? So, yes, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers, few. So let's work on bringing more people in that want to help us get this job done. Always express to folks, if you want change, you have to understand it's a lifestyle change. And if you're not willing to make that change, then you're really not ready for the type of change that you're asking for. At the end of the day, again, how do you expect to get it unless you're going to put the work in? That's what we're talking about. But my name is Zion. I am the creator of Past, and at one point, I thought I was getting ready to come in and, just overwhelm you guys with protection against search and seizure. But I kind of saw what Black Men United were doing, and before I go any further, I want to thank Black Men United for having this candid conversation. And I wish you guys much success, and also see how we're going to be working together in the future. But I realized, I was thinking about past, protection against search and seizure, and all the things, that I want to talk about. Then it was like, hey, this is a candid conversation. So, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And today, I kind of want to touch on 3 different things. One being, our rights as a free people. Right? Something I don't know how much many of us think about that, but our rights as a free people. I want to touch on white supremacy and or white privilege. Right? They one and the same to me. And then I want to touch on the law. And I kind of want to show you how these things are kind of interconnected. But I want you to understand one thing about white supremacy. It cannot be enforced in the law. So I'm asking folks, or I'm asking us mainly, since it can't be enforced in the law, I'm kind of asking us to stop reinforcing it, right? And we reinforce it, one, by understanding the establishment that we're up against, and as we step out as a collective, or if we try to do something, you have somebody coming in saying, oh, you can't do that. And it's like, well, they really never explain how or why you can't do it. They're just only saying, well, so-and-so tried it, it didn't work. Well, you just can't do that. So we have a subconscious way of reinforcing white supremacy. And because it can't be enforced, I'm just asking us to pay attention to it and just be a little more aware, of what we put energy and emphasis to. Okay? So I want to bring your attention to something we call the law. Now, everybody in here is familiar with the law, L-A-W. So all day long we'll say, it's the law. It's the law for this, it's the law for that. But I like to ask folks, which law are you talking about? And then they give me this look, it's like, what do you mean? The law is the law. So I try to point out to folks that law, like a number of other things, they're levels. And we always seem to deal with it from a subpar, level. Right? So what I mean when I say subpar? What I mean by it has levels and we're dealing with it from a subpar position when we talk about law, we only speak about it from the standpoint of what the state or what we understand the state to be, right? So the state has a number of enactments, a number of statutes, and that's what we call the law. That's what we allow ourselves to be governed by. That's what we live our life by. Well, I want to introduce you to another aspect of the law, which is tied to your right or your rights. And we've not come to understand that our rights are the law as well, right? So I want to give you something to look at when we talk about your right being the law. For example, a number of you in here will say, I know my rights, right? If you say you know your rights, put your hand up. All right, so we got a couple of folks that don't know. They're being honest. Okay, appreciate that. All right, thank you. But if you say you know your rights, you also have to understand, let's just talk about the Fourth Amendment, because that is one that I speak about, a whole lot within our constitutional awareness and within our program. You'd have to know that the Fourth Amendment is the law, too. That's why the courts say you have to use your right, against the government if you want to be protected. Something we have to grow, come to understand, and learn. So, the beautiful thing about your right is it's the top tier of what the law is. Do we see the state functioning and or operating from the standpoint of top tier law? No, we don't see them functioning from that standpoint. We see them functioning from that subpar level where they're dealing specifically with their enactments and or their statutes. Why do they do that? Right? So for us, it's because for years, going all the way back, to slavery and us becoming free, this was one of the ways and other mechanisms that they used to keep us in a degree of control based on what they call society. I say they because we're still talking about, a system that is rooted within the nice term we use today being white privilege, right? But white privilege is nothing more than white supremacy. Now, I'm not reinforcing it. I'm actually getting ready to, explain how we can actually overshadow it, okay? And it's going to take organizations like this, such as Black Men United, to fulfill such a thing because we need men. We need more men. We need strong men. We need men that are not afraid to stand on or stand for the truth. All right, we're not about standing, for nonsense or, things that will, have us out here being injured. But at the end of the day, I live for this and I will die for this. Right? And if you're not willing to stand on that principle as far as being able to live for it and die for it, then you really need to ask yourself, who are you serving? Because at the end of the day, there are only two spirits, out here in this world that we're dealing with. It's either righteousness or wickedness. These are the two concepts that we have to compete with. And each and every day, each one of us, we're being challenged to be a part or an ally with one of those energies. So when you talk about wickedness, you can look, throughout the structure, of our society and our government, and you can say, it's wicked, it's unfair, it's unjust, everything we say. So it gives us some idea. It gives us some idea as to who we're actually working with, who we're dealing with. So it's like, let's not be fooled, by the invisible hand, but let's pay attention and let's just realize what type of energy we're dealing with, and as black men, how we have to bring ourselves together to fight that based on righteousness, based on, justice, being able to quantify that and make it something that we can live with, something that we can turn tangible, something that we realize will be beneficial, in our everyday lives. So, I was getting ready to make a point about white supremacy, in our structure, how we go back or we look in time that this is how they've used their system of law to control us. And we've negated to understand what our rights are and how to use that as a premium way to advance in the world. Not just in America, but in the world. All right? So we have an issue out on the streets when something happens. Let's just talk about with the police. One of our main issues is we feel like they don't honor our rights. So I say, then we need to look more into what that is and come to understand how to make them respected. But at the end of the day, they don't honor it because we don't honor it. I had an officer express to me as I was looking to develop better training for law enforcement, he expressed to me, he said, hey, you can do all the training for us you want. He said, if the people don't know, what difference do it make? I said, bingo. I shift my whole direction within my program and everything, and I moved away from, the concept of training for law enforcement, and I started to focus on us. And Eureka. That was jackpot. That's bingo. But it's interesting trying to get us, as a people to focus on something called the Constitution, because one, we feel like it doesn't apply to us. We feel like it's only for, white folks. And I like to say to folks, that's an antiquated concept. That's just not true. It does. It does apply to us. Okay? And they will respect it when we start to respect it. So we like to, kind of show folks how this is supposed to work, in real time. So let me go back to one of the points that I want to make as far as how they use their system of law to control us, right? Anybody in here ever heard the terminology citizen?
Yep.
Yes? Citizen?
Yep.
Anybody else? Just one person? Oh, okay, all right. So we've all heard the term citizen, right? Now, let me ask you about this other term. It's a secondary term. It's called resident of the state. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Resident of the state. 5. All right. Resident of the state. No? Okay. Well, let me explain something to you what Georgia do. And the rest of these folks too. Through the power of assumption or the assumptive law aspect of how they work, they say, after 30 days, we assume that you're a resident. We've never even factored what that means, what that implies. What does that mean I have to do? We've just accepted it under the assumption. But I know one thing to be true. You won't let me assume nothing about we be fighting out there in the street. If I came to you with all that I assume on you, do anybody disagree with that? Right? We'd be fighting. But they operate under the power of assumption. We don't understand it. We don't even have the leaders in our communities teaching us these things that we can even be aware of what we're participating in, how we're participating, what's expected of us. So a resident of the state, it diminishes your status. They pull you off of the top tier of being a citizen, and they assume after 30 days that you're a resident. So in law, the resident is a subject. Have you ever considered what a subject is and then tried to understand why you got it so bad? A subject. You've been diminished from a citizen to a subject unbeknownst to you based on something called an assumption. Right? But then, in the same law, when you read further down, as they say, and I know this because I had spoke to a deputy director of legal services, I was trying to figure out how they was doing something in the letter, that I wrote when she shot back, and it just baffled me. She was like, oh, well, what you saying don't matter because after 30 days, we assume. And I said, oh, that's how you do it. Right? So, my point to the resident of the state is they figured out through continuing the white privilege and to continuing to keep them in power, they were like, hey, we need to get all of them to buy into being this resident of the state because then they will be subjected to anything we write as it stands as far as law or what we call law. We need to understand that. Law has different levels, and I'm just telling you, the point of constitutional law, your supreme law, is different than the statutory aspect of law or the state enactments that they put out. They're totally different. But we've only been told, and or it's only been promoted, to us about enactments and statutes, right? But when we start to look at constitutional awareness and, what our, rights mean, as individuals, we can then have a totally different stance in this country. There would be a power shift if we started to function from the standpoint of our rights. I promise you this, they do it. When I say they, I'm talking about white folks, white privilege, white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. The invisible hand, the deep state. I mean, it's got so many different names, for it. But trust and believe. They function this way. They educate our people, all of our attorneys, all of our judges, all of our police officers. All of these folks have been educated and trained not to fix it. They've been trained to uphold it. Right? So this all reinforces this thing that we call, white supremacy. Unbeknownst, to a number of us. It seems kind of harmless because we've come to feel or say it's just the way of life. But as black men, it's now time for us to stand up and deal with truth. Now I've had people say to me, mayors and chiefs of police, and as I'm talking to them about changing the culture of policing in America, they say to me things like, Zion, well, we got to have a compromise. And I had to fire back like, you don't compromise the truth. You don't compromise justice. It is the truth for a reason. It is justice for you're either with it or you're against it. And they don't want to talk to me because I don't talk with respect to the jargon that they've been trained. I bring them from the discretionary aspect of their duty, which allows them to deal with the power of assumption. And I'm like, dude, we got to deal with the ministerial aspect of it, which is based on, these constitutional principles to where it's fixed. Okay? That shifts the degree of power. That puts us in control. So now, no one's telling us what they're going to do. We now, through our action plan or action items, can actually say, no, this is how we want it done. So think about this. A chief of police. You can go up to any chief of police. You can go up to any police officer. And you can ask them, will you adhere to a strict, will you adhere to a strict guidance or the strict adherence of the Fourth Amendment? And they'll tell you, oh yeah, we'll uphold it. I mean, we'll adhere to it. But the question is, do they even know what a strict adherence is? Then it goes back to my other question. Do you even know? Because if you don't know what the strict adherence is, it basically says they don't have to know it. That's how we've been kind of getting caught up, in this thing, is we just really don't have people in our communities that are giving us a different aspect of education, and or learning. Everybody's giving us education that reinforces what's already out there, but I'm telling you, there's a different learning, out there in a way that we can deal with our surroundings, we can deal, with our society on a high level and get some results. And it's all based on constitutional awareness, it's all based on constitutional principles. So I wanted to also point out, there's a guy named Lee Atwater. And you all should look up Lee Atwater, and you should hear his discussion that Lee Atwater had where he talked about the abstract conversation and the coded conversation that white America is having based on how they deal with us. So, he said, hey, we're not going to say, nigga anymore. We'll say something like, and I'm adding emphasis here, but when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He said, we'll say stuff like, we're going to get tough on crime. Anybody heard that terminology? Bill Clinton was good for that. Tough on crime, right?
Biden too.
Biden, my point is, what he said, was true, and we now have to look at, even when we deal with these cases, the abstract and or coded language that they're using. President of the state. That's an abstract and or coded thing that says, hey, we still got control, over the black folk. We ain't gonna say black folk. Now, mind you, it puts the control over, everybody, but at the end of the day, there's something special about us. And for whatever reason, it's like we can't seem to get any sense of coming together so much that our government, FBI, whatever, they pretty much said, when you start seeing them come together, go in, break it up. Make some charge, do something. This is what we historically see, It's unfortunate, but it's true. So when you deal with the aspect of the abstract conversations that's being had, the coded, aspect of what's happening, in my program, in my education, when we deal with constitutional awareness, we look at one thing in particular. We look at the court cases. Why do we look at the court cases? We look at the court cases because in their discussion, let me talk about the Justice Department here. In their discussion, they pretty much said, if you want to understand, and I'm going to talk about policing here, but this is a principle that goes across the board, right? But we're going to talk about policing for a second. They said, if you want to understand policing, you have to look at the Constitution, both the state and the federal, right? They also said you have to look at the court cases, how they've been interpreted, to explain the everyday practices of policing, right? So that stood out to me, and I was like, wow. So if we want to understand policing based on our Justice Department, it's like, dude, we got to start going into these cases to look at what the everyday practices are. So it really opened me up to see in these cases the abstract and or coded terminology like they have in there. Oh my God, it blows my mind. Like they're openly speaking about us as it's a sporting event, right? I can't remember if it's Turner versus Ohio or Heibel versus Nevada, one or two. But they use terminology like the court is interpreting the government as being a part of an enterprise that's ferreting out crime. Now, a ferret is an animal. And there's a way that when you hunt ferrets, there's a way that you hunt a ferret like there's a way that you hunt a fox. So I thought it interesting that they use this type of sporting analogy to express how they're out here on the streets dealing with crime. when you hear crime, the code word for that, it's talking about a manner or way that they deal, with us. So in understanding these things, it has new light, for us when we look at these cases and we start, talking about how we're going to make change. It's like now we can look at it and we can decipher it a little bit differently to say, you know what? We no longer want this type of terminology. And furthermore, I like to say there's nothing we can do about the past, guys. All that stuff that's there. History is great. It's open record. But our aim is to be proactive. And we have to realize we got to create new situations moving forward. And the new situations moving forward will allow us to have the advantage with respect to how things are being expressed. So when we realize that they're trying to speak in an abstract and or coded way, once they realize we know it, they can't do it. They won't speak it. I mean, they got to come up, with something else. But by then, hopefully with us, we can change the game. So you guys know, anytime we get involved in something, we just naturally somehow take it to another level. So when we talk about the constitutional premise, when we talk about engaging on a higher level of law, when we start thinking intellectually from that standpoint, we change the game. That's something that I don't know how they did it, but they kind of kept us out of that conversation, right? And a number of our great thinkers and our attorneys and judges and, whatever, I expressed to them, they went to school and the school taught them how to uphold it. So when they read a case and I read a case, it's like we walk away seeing something totally different, but when I come back and show them, the limitations of the case, they sit back and I've had one judge say to me, like I done read this case 100 times and I'd never seen it, like that. And my point was, you weren't looking for it. My point was, you weren't trained, to see it. You were trained or taught, to reinforce, to uphold these things. So when it comes to the concept of law and the interpretations of the cases that are out there, the schools are teaching the student to see how, like for example, Terry versus Ohio, one DA, she specifically talked about, oh, Terry versus Ohio, yeah, that's how, stopping prison, it's got the 3 tiers, and I'm like, yes, all of that is true. And yes, Terry versus Ohio did empower law enforcement, and yes, it did provide expanded powers on the street, but there's another aspect of this that none of them are talking about, and it's the limited aspect of the power. It's right there. So I like to point out, to us, when we talk about the education, we look at the limits. And these limits, when we look to explore the limits, this is when we come to understand emphatically where they are, what they can and what they can't do. But no one's talking about the limits of policing. We're only talking about the powers, of policing. But there is, within the standard of law, they're written based on the cases, what the limits are. So for us, if we want to change, policing, we have to look at the same thing they look at. Which brings me to the point, you may have heard terminology where they say, oh, we're going to bridge the gap, of information between police and people. Anybody heard that?
Yeah.
Right? You heard it. Okay. So I like to say to folks, man, we get so many broad terms across the board, but at the end of the day, you cannot bridge the gap of information if you don't know what information you're using in order to bridge the gap. This is where we have to look at the same thing they look at, Constitution and the court case. That's the only way we're going to bridge the gap. So you got some folks saying, man, well, you can't expect for us to be attorneys. I'm like, well, you're right, but at the end of the day, if that's what it's going to take, that's what you need to do. Right? But no, I don't expect for you to be, an attorney or anything like that. But, we've done the research and we've laid it out. And we're just asking, for those that are interested in and concerned, scrutinize. One thing about the truth, you can scrutinize it all day long. It ain't going to change. The truth is the truth. right? We're not doing this because we just want to be right. We're not doing it because we want to be right. We're doing it because justice needs to be profound. We're doing it because someone has not been teaching us, adequately. And furthermore, it's up to us to teach us. It's up to us to educate us. For too long, we've been listening, to them. And they've been stirring us, to the left, to the right. We can't never get down the center. But I tell you, with PASS, protection against search and seizure, this Fourth Amendment advocacy and the education that we bring, we're looking to empower people through a constitutional awareness. That's going to raise us up if we deal with it from that standpoint. So when you talk about bridging the gap of information, you now understand, we're looking at the court cases. We're looking at, the Constitution. Well, when you talk about the Constitution, you got to be talking about the Fourth Amendment if it pertains to policing, because the Fourth Amendment in part was created to deal with abuses of police power on the street. So I say, well, goodness, if this amendment was created in part to deal with abuses of police power, why haven't we explored this even further? Right? So you also have to understand, man, they spend millions of dollars training law enforcement, and law enforcement training is centered around that Fourth Amendment piece, right? But where are we in the scope of understanding and of training? We don't know, but we have this right. It's a very powerful right, and it's law, right? It's law above the state law. I want you to know the state know and understand it's written within these court cases. They say, where rights concerned, where rights concerned by the Constitution are involved, it says the state can't legislate, do any rulemaking. So it's like your rights are untouchable. They know it, and they would never create a law that impinges upon your right. They know this, right? So they have an interesting way, like you say, through the abstract language and through the coding, they kind of make you think something is happening. But when you really start reading it, they're not, violating the right, but it's about us understanding how to stand on it, that we can get the benefit from it. And this just goes across the board. I use policing as an example. But one thing about principles will not change, right? That's the truth. So when you deal with the principle of what a right is, if you're dealing in finances, law, health, you take those principles across the board, and this is how you get the greater benefit for us. And then we have to take responsibility for how we deal with it on that level and stop allowing them, to interfere with our business. From that standpoint, I say you don't know what freedom is. Because freedom says we have a right to deal with self-determination. It says a couple other things, right? So when you start to look at these things, and you get an organization like Black Men United, and we start to stand on certain principles, it allows you to know that we can move fearlessly, right? Because we're moving based on a certain principle, and then you have to come to understand that when we do what we're doing, it's not like we're coming and saying, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? When you function based on the principle, you don't have to ask, someone in order to do what you're doing. It's just a thing of saying, hey, this is what we're getting ready to do. You can assist us, or you just get out of the way. But you can't stop us. Because the law says no one can deprive you of your right. No one. The law says they can't create any legislation, rulemaking, or anything to deal with. So just take that, into consideration, when we talk about our rights as a free people, when we talk about white supremacy, when we talk about what the law is, there's a different way that we have to look at this thing. There's a different approach that we have to take if we want our action items to be taken seriously, right? So there's a different type of organization, that we have to do. We have great organizations out there, the Black Lives Matter, the NAACP, National Action Network. These are all great organizations, but at the end of the day, none of them are truly dealing with the constitutional principle. None of them are teaching the constitutional principle. So the buzzword right now is 21st century policing. Who heard it? 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, that's the buzzword going around now, 21st century policing, right? 21st century policing is nothing more than constitutional policing, right? But again, it's a broad term. It don't mean nothing to you if you don't understand what the 6 pillars are. And I tell you, there's 6 pillars. I've read them, and I'm looking, to have a 7th pillar adopted, because in all the pillars, it's all about law enforcement. I'm like, hey, where are we? So we need a 7th pillar that's focused on how we're educated in conjunction with all the other education that's going on, because it does not make sense. We have millions of dollars going to educating law enforcement, but we're left ignorant. That's the problem. So we have no understanding as it pertains to how we're supposed to interact with law enforcement, but it's amazing that military, when they go to these other countries, it's clear what the rule of engagement is. So we'd like to introduce, to our people, what the law says as it pertains to policing. We did something a couple of weeks back called the Rules for Policing 101, and we'll continue, to invite people in, to understand this, to, see our research and to be a part, of PASS. PASS is something, it's like a conduit. It works well with Black Men United. It works well, with Black Lives Matter. It works well with the NAACP. Why? Because we're providing the information. We're providing the substance. We're providing the thing that will allow you to get the result. You want change? You got to deal with it based on the constitutional premise. So, take this away, right? White supremacy is real, but you can't enforce it in the law. And we have to stop reinforcing it as if it's the law. We realize it's there. We see what they're doing. But by the grace of the Creator, today we have a way to decipher what they're doing, and we need to get involved in the game. I want you to know this is a high-level game that's being played. Policing, government, these are high-level games that's being played. And whether you want to play or not, you're involved. Whether you want to or not, you're involved. So I say, we got to strengthen our team, because we look like the Bad News Bears right now. Some of y'all might be too young to know what the Bad News Bears are. But we look like the Bad News Bears, out here. But we're playing this game and they're moving, right? So in the court cases, they explain to us that there's a difference between government interest, which is code word, abstract terminology, but then there's also the people's interest. They've convinced us to side with them in their interest. Dude, it don't make sense to me. So we now have to be able to look at this and definitively decide where their interest is, we can see it, and then look to understand what our interest is and understand how you bring these two things together so that it works in harmony. But right now, all of our energy and effort is going towards supporting the government interest, because everybody's a resident of the state, not understanding they don't have to be. Don't even know what it is. We just accept it blindly. Right? And it's being reinforced. That's the ignorance that, we fight against. So again, my name is Zion, and I represent PASS, Protection Against Search and Seizure. You guys can go to my website, www.iwantpass.org. Also, follow us on Instagram at PASS is Leading the Way. PASS is Leading the Way. Follow us, tell your family, tell your friends, provide us with your support. We need more people, to be involved in this conversation. The brother had a question.
I want to ask you, would you advise our young people in here, if they're walking or if they're driving and get pulled over, to speak to their rights or stay silent? Which would you prefer them to do in that?
The brother asked the question, in our education, do we express to folks that they should be silent, doing a stop with law enforcement, or should they look to stand on their right. Well, brother, I learned that Congress wrote a declaration to the UN, and it said that rights are not self-executable. So what that means is if you don't exercise your right, you don't have it. You got to think about that word, exercise. It means you're being called to do something, right? So we like to explain to individuals in general what a traffic stop is. Like we want to go back to rules to policing, so you can even understand what type of stop, is what the rules are, what he can do, what his ultimate role is, what your role is. And we've not understood that when we engage with law enforcement, it's a two-way street. It's a dance. You can't one, if it's the waltz, you can't be doing the tango. So my point, to that is during the investigative stop, be it a routine traffic stop or whatever, there's a certain protocol that needs to take place. And what I say is it's unfortunate that in all this time, when it comes to policing something as serious as that, we've never been taught and or told some basic things. But it's beneficial to somebody that we don't know. But by the grace of our Creator with past, we have different information, that now you can look at it, scrutinize it for yourself, to then come to understand, I'm going to do this because it's just the right thing to do. Not because, that's cool, brother, or, somebody doing it, not because it's a trend. We're doing it because it's what needs to be done.
I know that you said you stated the Constitution, but a lot of us don't realize in Article 1, Section 2, it states that us as black people, black men, black women, we 3/5 of a human being. And that was written by the Democrats, who was once part of the people of the South, and the Republicans for the North. So with that being stated, and what a lot of people don't realize when you read the laws, whether it's the amendments, whether it's the Constitution, when you see America, they put America in different spellings, in different quotations, either in bold, sometimes in lowercase letters. What they're doing is that they're telling you America is either a corporation, a state, or a citizenship.
Well, let me deal with one thing you said based on 3/5 of the person, right? Let's be clear, the United States of America is a corporation. But let's also look at the 3/5 of a person, guys, because that was more focused on the pretense of voting, and they were trying to figure out a way, because there were so many of us, how to diminish, our voting power. I also want you to understand that that's an antiquated concept. And what I'm asking us, as a people, is to stop. Again, to me, that's like reinforcing white supremacy, right? It's like, let's stop, bringing these antiquated concepts and ideas up that make us feel like, you know what, you're right, we shouldn't do it. But this is 2020, man, and we have rights. And furthermore, we have not understood the origin, of our rights, right? And I say that because you've heard the terminology, God-given rights. So we must understand that when you talk about rights, rights come from the Creator. They know it. That's why they said when it comes to, the rights, we can't do any laws and legislation. They know these things, right? So we can't keep reinforcing, that, if black people, we're subjugated. And it's like, no, let's not do, let's stand on, the right. Let's move forward, to reap our reward. Ain't nobody gonna give it to us. And if we don't educate ourselves and use what the Creator is laying out, don't expect for them to tell you.
OG, let me push back real quick. It's not, it's just, agree to disagree. You said 3/5. The 3/5 was really created was when the Democrats was voting laws against the Republicans, they would use us, our ancestors, as chattel property. The Democrats would add their slaves as people to vote. And what happened was the Republicans, who was the North at the time, they would state that we were 3/5 of a human being. So that's why they antiquated that. Those votes.
It goes back to what I said. It was about voting, right?
And not only that, my thinking is that if you got the Constitution, right? You give me the amendment on the 13th Amendment saying we free people. The 14th Amendment gives us the right to citizenship and whatnot. the 15th Amendment allowed us to vote, right? Why is the Constitution still alive? Why not break down the Constitution, rewrite the law? Because at the end of the day, whenever we state...
Brother Moses, let me just interject real quick though, because what you're saying, you know, it has its merit, but what I'm saying to all of you is the story that you're promoting is a story that was promoted to you. And what I'm asking is for us to look at these things and come to understand the limits across the board of all the things that they can do, and just for us to see where we are empowered and stand on that. We can't change the past. I know the story like you know the story, but that story, it does not assist us with how we're going to, you know, move forward, and we can't keep, you know, promoting that as a hindrance, you know, or something that will, like, say, hey, you know, we can't deal with rights or whatever because, you know, we're 3/5 of a person. It's antiquated. That's all I'm saying. Let's get past it.
I got a question for those that don't know. Could you explain what the Fourth Amendment is?
Well, the Fourth Amendment is one of the rights. It's one of the laws. It's a constitutional law that speaks to the right for you to be protected against unreasonable searches and seizures, right? Now, we only think about it from the standpoint of law enforcement, but guys, with, you know, the aspect of technology and some other things, they're breaking laws across the board, but because we're not aware of it, I mean, we let it happen. What I mean by that is anytime they go into the database and start looking you up and checking this and checking that, that's a search, right? So we then have to come to understand by what merit. You know, were they even able, you know, to do that? What substantiated, you know, that? But we hadn't got, you know, to that point. But these are things that need, you know, to be answered. Because if that's the case, I can use all of these resources to which on each and every one of you in here to find something, somewhere, somehow. I mean, everybody has a past. Right? And as Warren Buffett said, if you follow a man long enough, I mean, you can get anything. Right. You know. So let's be clear, you know, with respect to, you know, the Fourth Amendment is your right to be protected against unreasonable search.
I got a quick question going to, you know, this is the person we're familiar with, not just constitutional law, just read law in particular. Do you have like a website, something that we can go to just from an interpretation standpoint? Because you said you're not really familiar with just looking at law and reading some of the phrases and stuff, maybe a few exactly. Do you have like a site you can go to kind of like break it down?
Well, again, our website, iwantpass.org, our program is about that education. We want to simplify how we look at these things. We want to show what the abstract and or the coded, you know, terminology is. We want to understand how we can benefit, you know, from this as it pertains to our day-to-day life. Because to me, it doesn't make sense to have rights if you can't benefit from it in real time. It just doesn't make sense, right? So we need to understand how to bring the substance, you know, out of these rights, and again, just make it something, you know, tangible for us. So I want to add something, you know, to that based on terminology, what you just said, and how I pointed out that a number of us aren't aware of the resident of the state. I want to show you how they do it. Let's just talk about traffic. Anybody deal with traffic today?
Yeah.
Who dealt with traffic today? You deal with traffic, right? Do you ever deal with traffic? All the time. That's what you said. He said all the time. Now, I'm going to speak for a second, and I want somebody on their phone to look up the legal definition of traffic. Who's going to look it up real quick? Deonte, you got it? All right. So Deonte is going to look up the legal definition of traffic for me. And I'm going to show you how we speak in general, right? Our terms are just generalized. But you trust and believe when they speak and use traffic, they're using it from the standpoint of a legal pretense, right? So you think traffic means just being out there, being behind a car, you know, and oh my God, it's horrible, but that ain't what traffic is. So they got all of us around here saying we're involved in traffic. We don't even know what the hell it means. What it means?
Two definitions. First is vehicle moving on a road or a public highway.
That's the one you use. Go ahead.
And the second is messages or signals transmitted through a communication system.
No, there's another one. Did you look up the legal
It says deal or trade in something illegal.
There you go. What you say?
Deal or trade in something illegal. Deal or trade in something illegal.
All right. So deal or trade in something illegal, but it's really, let me express, it's really just dealing or trading. It's really just commerce, right? So let me just express to you, we run around and they'll say, well, you were in traffic, and you'll be like, yep, you just implicated yourself in a crime. Not even understanding, but that's why the officer is there investigating. I'm telling you, dude, it's a high-level game, right? And unbeknownst to us, we implicate ourselves in the assumption and don't even know. Don't know what the resident of the state is, what that means, and when they say traffic, and when they say passenger. I mean, when they say these things, what it means. A passenger, you is just, your shotgun. But passenger ties into that same thing based on commerce. They're saying you involved in something. And because you're involved in it, they're saying you gotta pay. But you don't know or haven't been taught how to say no. I ain't involved in traffic, I ain't got no passengers, and actually, I got a common right to do what I'm doing. But they're saying, no, well, you gotta get this privilege. So these are conversations that we need, to have to distinguish and understand, why do we do what we do? Are we gonna continue, to be parrots and just keep repeating stuff? Are we gonna continue, to be that cow that's just herded and or that sheep? Are we gonna continue to be those people, or are we going to bring ourselves to understand this knowledge, this truth, this wisdom, this righteousness, stand on it, and make them honor for us? For us. So, with that, I want to thank Black Men United, for having me to be a part of this discussion. Hopefully, we can do more, of these discussions. Hopefully, we can collaborate with the proliferation, of the education. That's what we need, a new sense of education.
Of course, we're here for you, though. Is something on your website, something you can get some knowledge about the protection against certain seasons on your website? Just people who don't know, people get pulled over, get stopped,
Oh, yeah, no. We don't have the website designed like that just yet.
Okay.
For example, we're trying to raise funds,
Okay.
right? It's going to cost me $50,000 to create the training module, right? It's going to cost me $60,000 to do the curriculum, that we have. And I like to say to folks that justice is a $1 billion industry. It's an untapped $1 billion industry. Why do I say untapped? I say untapped because a number of our leaders out here have been chasing the ambulance, and they just haven't been getting anything done. So for a long time, you really couldn't get any so-called funds or money as it pertains to justice programs. Now, I don't like to deal with social justice, racial justice. It's just justice, bro. I mean, ain't no gay rights, it's just rights, right? So, we just realized Bank of America, to prove my point, they put up $1 billion. Goldman Sachs, they put up just about, the same amount. PayPal, they put up $500K. Home Depot, you now have a plethora of corporations that have made funds available, but it proved my point that I was saying to people years ago. The concept of justice is just as valid as fighting cancer, AIDS, hunger, domestic abuse, you name it. The issue has been qualified information, proven information. So that's where I think with PASS, we stand out. We stand out to be different than any other organization out there because we're breaking it down. We're allowing people to see it, not based on what we think or what we feel, but based on what's written, how it comes from the Justice Department. Now, if it's coming from the Justice Department, guys, we gotta deal with it. We gotta deal with it for that. It's like to say, if they wrote it, we gotta make them stand on it. We gotta make them lick it up. I just don't think they expected, for us to have the information to even come in and talk to them. It's a high-level game, that is being played. So we need funds. We hopefully can get with Black Men United, and we can put, we can put the criteria together to, go to the Bank of Americas and these different folks and get the funding that we need to keep this information out, into the community. And one thing I want you to understand, I'm saying it now and I mean it to be true. I will never charge for this information. It was given to me freely, and I'm going to give the information freely. I don't want any young brother to feel like they got to have $5 or $20 or whatever, and for that reason, they could not get the information. So we have to make sure this education remains free. At the same time, we have to understand that there are monies, to do certain things like a curriculum, like a training module. So let us come together to understand how we can get funds to build this thing, to create the infrastructure, not focused on how we're going to charge people, X amount of dollars. I've had people say to me, man, you cheapen the information. If you don't put a price on it, I'm like, well, I got to follow what the Creator said. It's given freely, it's going to be given freely. And we'll find some other way, to deal with the financial aspect of it. All right, I want to thank you for the time. Again, my name is Zion. I am the creator of PASS. I want to thank Black Men United for having me, and I look forward, to continuing this discussion with you guys in the very near future. Thank you.
Brother Zion, on behalf of Black Men United, I definitely appreciate you taking your time out your day, coming and sharing this knowledge with the young brothers in the community. And we don't take it for granted. We're going to take the knowledge that we just received, go back, do our own research, look into it more, and we're going to actually start utilizing that. So, without any further ado, I want to bring up our next speaker, Mr. Short Dollar, Deonte Burden. He'll give you all his criteria and accolades and everything like that. So, help me welcome you to the stage.
How y'all doing?
All right.
All right.
You working?
Yeah, you good?
Brother Brian, I appreciate that also, brother. There's a lot of good information and everything. I might sound like a technical. Again, my name is Deonte Burden. A lot of folks grow with me, know me as Coachy. I'm a native of Atlanta. I grew up out of Bankhead. And I'm here to talk about, from the financial aspect of everything. And when I talk about finances, I'm a little different about it because I go from a self-empowerment standpoint. Okay? A little bit of background information for me. I'm me rather. I'm the.
Sorry.
Is better?
Yeah, it's on.
Alright. Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little background information. I'm an accountant by profession. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I own several businesses. Also them started, sold, lost, all that kind of stuff. A lot of different businesses over the years. But my main business, I'm a tax accountant. We've had a practice about 19 PM business this year. And I also own a private equity firm. We own different businesses out there, small and stuff like that. And I have 2 YouTube channels. One on Mr. Short Dollar, what Willie was talking about, where we talk about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investment, and also my main one on Change Lives, where we talk about personal development, motivation, and everything like that. I have a weekly show that comes on YouTube at 8 o'clock every Thursday p.m. I got my sign sheet, with that, you can put your name, email address, these news, keep updated different stuff we got going on. Also some of my cards and stuff. But that's enough about me. To give a little background history with me, what got me started in finance. Like, I grew up over there back right by the Kmart. And I always was interested in making money. I didn't really have no money. I was just like most of everybody else who grew up in the 90s. Teenage parents, one of my parents on dope, raised by grandparents. And we used to sit over there at Kmart and pretty much catch the ladies coming out the store, asking them to carry their bags, you know, to the store. They give us $1 or $2 and everything like that. If you got there, sometimes you gotta thank you, baby. Thank you, but that's how it was, you know. And, when I went to C.L. Harvard High School, and a math program with financial services, and I just fell into that. I like working and making money. I worked at every fast food on Bankhead, from the McDonald's to the Checkers to when it first opened up, it was Checkers and it was Rallies, but I worked at Miss Wonders. Did the peak jobs. I don't know if anybody in Atlanta with peak private industry council. If you low income, you worked there, paid us minimum wage. I don't know what happened with the program. It was a good program for us. Like, you know, a lot of us that, you know, they have the money, you know, sometimes get school clothes and stuff. Long story short, I played football my whole life. And when I got to Harvard, I went to West Fulton first. And when I got there, I had no money to get home from football practice. And so they said, you know, you get a free Marta card. Get in the MAG program. You go sign up for the MAG program. So I went in there, coincidentally my homeroom teacher that was in charge of the MAG program. And from that point, man, I just fell in love with financial services. Well, we had a time with Capital City Bank. We actually had a branch in there. And that's when I was learning so much about it. We used to do internships at different banks in Atlanta. This is the main line, because I don't even know if they still have these MAG programs going on now or not, you know. I was told they don't have. I did a baccalaureate speech at Carver High School last year. I was told then they only have comprehensive high school and APS anymore. I don't know if that's true or not. They want to teach me, tell me. But when I was working at First Union Bank downtown Decatur, that's why I had my senior internship. My whole thing was I was seeing maybe a few brothers here and there, but most you see these white men with a briefcase and suits and all that kind of stuff. I see them walking and everything. That's what I want to do. Unfortunately, I done made a couple wrong decisions. You know, I had to go in the Army, you know, pay for my schooling and everything. You know, that worked out okay. But when I got out of the Army, went to Georgia State, got my bachelor in finance and everything. And then I got a job working downtown, had a nice office, working in the Hurt building. Then I worked down in 191 for a while. So, you know, I thought I was living the dream. Went to suit every day, had a nice office and everything. But then you find out that's overrated. Because what happens is, you said that you're making good money and everything, but what hits you is what? I don't want good money. I want what a white boy makes. And then you sit there and say to yourself, like, well, damn, you know, I'm doing what I was told to do. Well, quote unquote, I'm ready to work hard, go do this, that, and that. You know, that's what you don't get. You get something, but you don't get what they get. So then you start sitting there thinking about, like, damn, what's going on? What's wrong? And I started thinking that there ain't nothing wrong with me. Well, I mean, what's going on? It was something with me. I wasn't really valuing myself. And until that moment came, I started looking like, no, I don't need to be concerned with what kind of money they're going to give me. I need to be concerned with the kind of money I'm going to command. And that's when I just left corporate America altogether and went on my own. The thing up here, guys, is when we start talking about money and power and everything, people all have different views about it. Everybody say, you know, we can do that investment, we can do this, we can do that. I'm going to just tell you from the get-go, everything goes by, we're going to say it several times, you got to get educated. I ain't talking about you got to go get a degree, go to college, and like that. Just like Brother Ryan said, you got to read. You got to read. These things we always push everything about, they didn't give me this, they didn't give me that. But until you do the research, and I ain't talking about the surface stuff, I ain't talking about Googling it, I ain't talking about YouTube. You might have to sit in the library. You might got to be inconvenienced to go down, meet somebody, talk to somebody. You might got to go to a couple different banks and get turned down. But until you do some uncomfortable stuff, you're not going to see certain things, find certain things out. How many people here was excited about the stimulus checks? Come on, man.
I ain't gonna lie, I was excited.
Hey, did anybody send it back?
Nope.
I ain't never get one.
I got one. I ain't seen it.
Did anybody get it back? Okay. Wait, here's the reason why I asked that. In theory, you know, when you sit there and look at the money that was sent out to everybody, want to get like a turbocharge to the economy, people get money in and spend it and everything, kind of keep everything the same. Because it actually, you know, like I said, I'm almost alone. It was almost 3 months. The door was closed. No money. Man still wanted rent. They still, you know, everything's still going on. That ain't changed. Man, I ain't even pay no rent. I can't run my business. But at the end of the day, my point is the world kept going on. So in theory, they want to send some money to the economy, everything boosted from that. The problem come up is when the stimulus checks hit, that week, what the first damn thing was saying? Record lines at Foot Action getting a new Jordan. You see, furniture stores get, sold out. All other kind of stuff that they got not a damn thing to do with, from an economic standpoint, you sustaining yourself. They were just putting the money in things that wasn't really doing anything to better. And why would you do that? You say greed, people ignorant, this, that, and that. Let's take the negative context out of it. A lot of times, this is the most important thing. You really don't know what to do. And that's the thing about it. When you ask people, they say, well, how do you get the money? You see the pro athletes that get $1 million contracts. You hear the stories about they go bankrupt in a couple years afterwards. And you hear all these people say, well, them young boys, they messed that money up. I would invest the money. And I look at folks, what's investing? They don't know what investing is. I started business. I'm telling you like this, hell, you got to be built for it to run a business. That's a whole different kind of stretch. That's a whole different kind of stretch. You want to do that. And when people sit there and look at it, I mean, a 21-year-old that gets a $30 million contract is going to do the same thing that a 40 or 50-year-old they get that $30 million contract, right? Because if that 40 or 50-year-old knew what to do, he would have had it by then. It's easy to sit there and talk about the kids to do that. It ain't easy. And that's the thing, the average person, we don't know that. And that's the thing about it, why we don't do it, because we don't want to take the time. It's easy for me to fault the system and the government. Why? Because like I said here and been accountable for myself, that's painful. That's painful to do that. I hear a lot of times people say, from the education system, they say, I'm not an educator at all or anything like that, but what they say, what they not teaching us in the school. They didn't give us this information. They're not teaching us in the school. And what I always tell people, think about it, if you go back in high school, I mean, they taught it. They taught some things, they ain't gonna teach you everything. You go to law school, you go to medical school, but they taught you a lot. The issue is, would you receive? Because we look back, in school, we got them cats that, man, they went on and went to Harvard, went to Yale, went to Howard, went to Morehouse, Emory. Yeah, they was the same classroom as us, right? It was just all by application. So when we sit here and say what they didn't teach us, you have to sometimes look at yourself at 17, 18 years old, 16, was I even ready to receive that information? Mm-hmm. But nobody want to say that. There ain't nothing wrong with that. You was a kid. Some were that smart. Some were that mature. I mean, I was in believe it or not, I was a gifted program from elementary through high school. We had a challenge in APS and everything. We learned binary code, how to read hieroglyphics, all this kind of stuff we were exposed to. And I see some of the same people that were because what it was, the kids in APS, they would bust us all the hallway over the elementary, and then sometimes they might come to our high schools and everything. My point with that is, it wasn't cool to be no nerd. It wasn't, anything like that. People want to be smart in groups. I want to be smart with one of my friends and stuff like that. It's kind of uncomfortable being different. That's the thing about it. A lot of people don't want to sit there and look at it. It's just like we went to school, you think about it. We have guys in the singing group. They sing it, everybody want to say, well, they sisters. They want to jump on them. But now everybody want to sing. Everybody want to act, right? Not everybody want to act.
Yeah.
What you did in high school? No. Matter of fact, they want to act, y'all jump. And that's the kind of thing we got to understand what I said, especially with finances. One thing about it, and again, when I go back to the education piece, remember what I'm talking about? I'm not going into, like, say, you got to go sit down in somebody's classroom. But I am saying people don't want to sit there and take the time to learn stuff. And what I want to do is just go through a couple things in regards to, from an individual standpoint, let's talk a little bit about investment, then we'll talk about something about business, other things from that. When you look at it from an individual standpoint, I want people to always understand, like, when you look at your actual bank account, you say, okay, I want to have these kind of things. I want to be financially independent. You already have that term before, financially independent. I want to have these certain kind of things. It's good, but when you say that kind of stuff, you sit there, you paint this oasis in your mind, what I can have. And then you sit there and say to yourself, man, how I'm getting. You got right now what's hot right now. We got a susu. right now going on. You know, a couple years ago, you might have been, you know, and I'm not knocking this, I'm just speaking on terms of things. A couple years ago, you might be buy some tea, you might put some waist slimmers on, or whatever. And everything still comes into one thing like, look, no matter what you do, if you just do this, if you just do these one or two things, you'll get money. And I'm just saying this to people, like, let's be honest. If everyone just come down to us doing 2 or 3 steps to get money, why not let's be rich? Why not let's be rich? You know, what the hell I be sitting there get out of bed every morning? Like, 1, 2 things.
Right.
And that's why, you know, that's the basis of when we start talking from an individual standpoint. You gotta be prepared to see it make some sacrifice. You gotta be prepared to be uncomfortable. Okay? And that's the thing, learn about money. The one thing that hit me when I got to corporate America when I was sitting there just working is, you know, it was more my, like I said, my confidence in myself. Because you get there, you say, like, everybody wasn't no smarter than me. They didn't know any more than I do. They didn't put in no more effort than me. I can't even say they were more connected than me. A lot of the barriers I probably put in my own mind before I got there. The issue you sit there and say, it's kind of like when we look at a lot of times, we, you know, go into things when we look at, we can keep with ourselves, and, you know, everybody got different views about what integration did and everything like that, is there are some barriers, let's be real, there are some barriers to people giving you the opportunity to do certain things. There are.
You don't need it.
You don't need it.
No,
You don't need it, I'll take it.
It's hindering. It's hindering you.
It's hindering. I know you like to move a little bit, so you
My
know.
mouth too big.
Yeah,
But
okay.
those kind of things we look at as a football coach. You find out then when you get to those barriers by losing train of thought. When we look at that, we've kind of made for ourselves and everything. And I see that there was some situation, no matter what I tried to do, I just couldn't do it. My day, you know, effort went down. I always say all the time, we look at it from the term of being successful in life. My view is, it's not the person that works the hardest, the person that's most resilient. You know, you can work 3 times as hard as me. We're doing the same thing. But the thing of it is, that doesn't mean you're going to be more successful, but you have one setback. And if you, that's what determines it, because that setback, sometimes people, when things go wrong, they can't get out of bed for a week or 2. Man, everybody got to come check on, bro, you all right, bro, you all right? And then some folks, 48 hours, shake it off, let me get back to the next thing. The one that was held down for the longest, and the one that recovered quicker, it hurt just as bad. But I think that recovery time probably the most biggest determinant of success. It got nothing to do with working hard, because we all can see and put out maximum effort. But mentally, how we bounce back from things, I think that's more of a bigger indicator. So we look at the same thing when we start talking about from a personal finance and investment standpoint. When we start looking at things that we want to get here to get a certain place, I really push everybody, get educated on it. Learn about banks, learn about basic credit, learn about, you know, different loan practices, learn about credit. Don't be so quick to want to just get in a situation where it can come to be fixed in 90 days when you go to this course. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. That's why I think that everybody is hurting that, because they want to fix, you know, a sickness just with a little quick drink or something. It's not going to work. And if you make that effort to sit here and just kind of indoctrinate yourself, and you're looking at where you at right now and where you want to be, I think you'll see a big difference with everything, instead of just trying to rush with it. Okay? When I started talking about the from the investment standpoint, how many people, you know, active with investment? Trading, got your stocks, got some real estate and everything. We start talking about it, that's great. We start talking about investing, that's a big, great word. Like I just mentioned, what you hear maybe some people who say a younger person might make some bad mistakes, they should have invested it. I think that word is used too much with investing, because one thing we start looking at when we look at the word investing, when you look at investing is something that's going to be done for a period of time. Usually a little longer. Sometimes it may be something that's done quickly. You put your money in here and that happens. But for the most part, you have to be kind of strategic and kind of give you some periods of time for this stuff to happen right. You know, I think if you're looking at a lot of times with fix and flip and everything like that, there's a word there, but you gamble more at the end of the time. And if you got a certain skill level to do certain things like that, that's great. But those are few people. You know, I'm going to be totally honest with you. That's far and few between. That doesn't mean that they're smarter than you, but we all got a skill or a gift that some people just don't have. To be honest with you. And I think that when we start talking about investing, I mean, people need to take the same thing. We go back to that word, educate yourself, finding out what's best for you. If you know that you don't have a tolerance to lose your money, don't get no day trade. If you know you don't have a tolerance or whatever, or most importantly, you ain't got the money to lose, don't be trying to say you're gonna fix a flip. Don't do that. If you got something, say, look, I'm right, I have this right now. My kids, little boys, I got 10, 15 years before they graduate high school and get stuff on for college. Be realistic. You know, tuition gonna be $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. You can divide that by how many months that is over that time. I just know I gotta get that. That's simple. That's simple. You ain't gotta sit here and overthink it or whatever and everything. If you sit here and say that, look, I'm right here at this point in time, I wanna be here later on, and I wanna be, you know, I need this much money when I leave my job, you sit and divide them once and know what you gotta do. That's the thing, but you know, you just strategize, you make a plan, you trying to get everything together. That's what we wanna do when we start looking at investing. Don't be so rushed to go, hey, I gotta put all this money in my 401k, I gotta do this, that, and that. My father came to me, he said, I'm saying, look, I gotta, go and get some money in my 401k. He said, what you think I need to get? I said, man, hell, you ain't got no damn time. You know, what you trying to do? What you want me time? Yeah. And when we start looking at investing like that, what we talking about? We need time, compound interest. And he didn't have that. That time is the key component when we start looking at long-term investment. If you don't have that, that compound interest, what I mean by compound interest, how it's going to be able to grow with that rate that you're giving on that particular item. If you don't have that time, you can't do it. The decision you make as a 20-year-old, 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old will be totally different. Depending on the product you get, and also we're looking at the situation you're in. If you're making a lot of money when you're young, you can do some things. Right? If you're not making that much money in your 50s, or most importantly, you don't have the time, you got to do some different things. It's not good or bad. I push 50 years, you get to 50s, and for whatever reason, you couldn't do it, 20s, 30s, like life happens. I don't think you should be getting into stocks. I think you should probably be buying some income generating assets, some property, some canning machines, some vending machines. Well, to be honest with you, I got a partner right now. We got, I think, folks, vending machines in the Cab County schools, he put in $4,000 a month. So it's nice. Well, you're saying a lot, to some that ain't a lot of money. I'm saying that to say that when we start thinking outside the box and looking at where we at, that's when we come up with ideas. Also, we start thinking about what am I trying to do? We start thinking about investing. Don't limit yourself to like what you normally see your friends with. There are people making tons of money sitting here just, off the beanie babies their grandma used to have. You start looking at old albums. I said that I gave the class last year. I told everybody then. I said, listen, go buy you about 20 of those Trey Young basketball cards in the Hawks draft, right? 20 of those cards. I think that same card, that card probably like what, about $2 then. And I think that card I just looked about a month ago, that one card is worth $50. And you know about 20 of them cards, then look how much money you done had. Now you might buy Trey Young, could have been a bust. But you looking at where he at right now. Same thing what I told people to do with Zion Wings. Buy those cards. Little stuff like that, you sitting there thinking, if you buy both of them cards, you're going to say they spend $50 on them. Look how much money you're going to make. That's why I say sometimes just think outside the box. You got a favorite singer. You got to see, some things that you think that, hey, let me just grab that. Some of the group, some of us, especially when we get our 40s and 50s, we remember some old albums that we used to jam to. But you still got an album coming out. You still got the whole album. There ain't no scratches on it. Just little things like that, if you just take care of it, thinking outside the box. You ain't sit there and buy no stock. You ain't spend nothing down, but just little things. I think them the little Pac-Man things, I think they sell them for like a couple $1,000 at the little small arcade game they sell like in the 80s. Those little things like that. I'm just putting in terms of when we talk about investing, don't be just thinking outside the box when you do certain things. These COVID masks 20 years from now, talking about money. This is official COVID mask from 2020. Just think about it. It could be something worth it. Man, this is something, that could be just almost just like something, it's cherished as somebody went through, World War I, World War II. Just think about it and everything. And I think that's the kind of mentality I won't necessarily say even this. White people have not a lot of folks even have it. So those are the kind of things what I'm just saying, if you kind of open your mind up, don't limit yourself to the traditional way, people see money get made, those, that'll help you move in a different stratosphere from that. Third thing I want to talk about is basic business. Like I said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And what I mean by that, I just start sometimes, and over the years I've learned, what to do, what not to do, most important for myself. And the first thing I will say again, go back to that word educate. I tell anybody, and to be very, very honest with you, that if you're really serious about getting you a business, I ain't saying that side, you should be your business. I tell anybody, they go right down the street to Atlanta Metro, get you like associates in business. I think that basic stuff that you learn, accounting 101, management 101, they'll set you, you won't have half the problem that most business owners have that don't know. Because one thing about it, when we start looking at employee and owner, the employee knows a whole lot about one thing. They know that little thing they got to do inside out, they know it inside out. But their owner, he knows a little bit about everything. And that's the thing about it. Once you sit there and look at everything on the shelf, your whole perspective changes. Because that's the thing what I was just saying when we talk about ownership. We start talking about business, let's be honest with you, I really meant that way. It's a different set of stresses that an owner has. Different set of stresses because as you actually mature, I'm just saying as an owner just going into business, what you really learn, one of the key things is that the owner is just working on the business. Well, you working in it, you working in it, you're doing it. And it's not a right or wrong way within it, it's just you know yourself. If you want to go into that realm when you talk about doing business, you learn that. That's very important. You ain't got no business. I was just talking to one of my sons about this earlier day. When you start understanding the kind of money that you want to make, you sit here and say, look, what's my time worth? Everybody got any idea what they feel their time worth? Anybody got an idea? What you say? What's that number? $1 billion. Oh, you expensive. Everybody got another number?
Like 65 an hour.
65 hours. Anybody else? 200. Okay. Well,
No less than 300.
no less than 300. Well, let's go to hour. We're gonna stick with hour. Let's let your experience first. We'll do 200. Okay. Big kids. But I'm gonna tell you. I got you. Right. But I tell you what, my point with that is, Christian said $200 an hour. When I just said that $200 an hour, that's why I explain to a lot of my students. If you feel you had your time with that $200 an hour, there's no way in the hell you need to be doing $10, $12 an hour jobs. Right? A lot of times you sit down, you in your business, you sitting there trying to do this, you're trying to do that, get somebody, my son just telling me, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Look, man, if you're charging for $75 an hour, hell, you can pay somebody $9, $10 to do that. There's no way in the hell you should be doing those particular jobs because you need to be trying to get the money you want. If I'm trying to get $200 an hour, you know what the hell I need to be doing jobs I can pay somebody 10. And when we get caught in that too much, why? Because here, folks, man, you can do that for yourself. Man, now you can do that, you can do that. It's not that you're lazy, but you mature. You mature as a business owner. You understand that kind of stuff. Like when you sitting there making, like I said, again, that owner, you're working on it. The employees working in it. And it's not, like I said, the thing, I think most important with that is you got to be in a relationship with yourself where you fall into that. There's nothing wrong with like, man, I don't want that stress. I done tried to have my own business, whatever, this, that, and that. Nah, I rather go to work, do what I to get paid. That's cool. You sit there and say, look, I want to be calling these shots and everything today. That's fine. I think the number one thing is you have to be realistic of your personality, what you are. You don't need to try to be one. That's not easy. And you can stay in that gray area, but you'll get gray area results. Either way, there's nothing wrong with it, but you got to be realistic with yourself. And one key thing you got to understand, you can't want the freedom of an entrepreneur but have the security of an employee. You can't have both. There's nothing wrong with it. You can't, like I say, you can't just want, you want somebody, you work with somebody, you tell them what to do every day. You can't do that. You can't do that.
And you can't have your own business, but you like, look, I gotta get paid this stuff here. When we sitting there in business for ourselves, I can just be honest with the tax business. I'm running promos and ads starting in November. I'm putting all this money, thousands of dollars in promotions, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, starting in November. I don't start getting money until that last week of February. Now, for 4 months, man, I ain't got no money in my pocket from that. You know how scary that is? I know it's gonna come, but that's scary. But that's the thing about it, it's the risk you're gonna take. Well, then I got something called COVID coming in, I'm like, oh Lord, it's gonna, you know, that's the thing about it, where you gotta be built to handle that kind of stuff, or know that's gonna come. You see guys all the time sitting there, built, they actually can put certain things out there, and understand that, look, if I plant this seed, I know this tree gonna come. Everybody don't see it like that. Brother Zion said something that was very, very important. And it was kind of like what I always say, a lot of people when do consultations, when you speak about the word traffic. When you see different businesses, because I do, businesses coming all the time in terms of just like, hey, I'm right here, we want to be here. And I give them a blueprint on how to get that right here. And what Brother Zion said, he talked about the word traffic. And I always tell people a lot of times, because being a tax accountant, I don't see everything, right? I don't see all kinds of businesses. We got different people in different industries and stuff like that. They come to us and everything. So I understand that some people too be amazed thinking they're doing some media stuff, making crazy money. And some folks that are doing stuff that are on TV and everything, they send them out there. Some of them office crime. And I'm just saying this to you, you never get traffic confused with profits. If you see somebody business, that don't mean that bottom line they making numbers. They're making money about it. Never get traffic confused with profits. Business don't mean you got money. Business means you busy. And that's the kind of thing we gotta kind of make sure we understand that. You know, there's a lot of folks, we can go up and down Metropolitan. They got people going in, you gotta be honest, if you think about it, what's killing a lot of businesses right now is what? They can only have so many people in at a time. They still got the same overhead, right? So if I got less money coming in, but I got the same amount of bills, I'm trying to at least just break even. That's what they're trying to do. You see that with the airlines. They're restricting the number of people that can be on passenger on the plane. So what they did to combat it was what? They authorized more flights. But they're doing more flights with less people. They ain't making no profit. $7 billion loss last quarter with Deonte Burden. And you see all of them in this industry wild doing the same thing. So like got less people flying, you got more flights. They're just trying to stay open. You're gonna get some governments, they're just trying to stay open. And that's most businesses. That's most businesses doing that. And that's the kind of thing we gotta sit there and understand. Like, we wanna go into that realm. It's a great thing to do, but be prepared. I can't stress that enough. Be prepared, plan. And the key thing with planning is that, and I talk about this, you know, again, you guys go to the YouTube channel, I'll bring everything up, you know, before I finish. But work backwards from that goal. We set them goals. We work backwards from that goal. If I want $1 million, and I'm right here, what I gotta do to get that $1 million? If I gotta sit here and want to leave my job 2 years, when I decided to leave corporate America, it took me 2 years because I knew I had to do what? I couldn't leave the job in this situation. And one of the key things is, and this is probably one of my free nuggets I'm getting y'all, when you leave the job, just think about this. Just say you want to leave the job, want to go in and everything, you make $50,000 a year. You say to yourself, man, what would be the number? If I'm making 50 grand a year, what number am I naturally going to be thinking I need to make? You know, doing my job. If I leave myself, what number you think?
50 grand.
No, I'm talking about just to survive.
50 grand.
50,000. I want to make that 50,000. So you say something, man, I ain't leaving this good. I'm making 50,000 right now. I ain't finna go do something else. If I ain't making that don't make sense. That's the wrong way to look at it. That's right. But here, that's the wrong way to look at it. You don't look at how much money you made. You stop and you look at that cost of living. I might make $50,000, but between my rental mortgage, my utilities and everything, that might be what? $20,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just need to make what? 20. And I sit there and say to myself, okay, for me to make 20, before I start making the money, what I gotta do? I might not need cake. I might not need to go eat out this week. Now I done cut down my living expenses. Then I sit here and say, well, I might not even need 20. I might just, since I cut that out, I might just need to make 15. And now I'm at a point that, look, if I can just make that, I got the freedom to sit here and do that, and I can make myself, but I know what I'm doing, I believe in myself. I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna get back to that 50. But what do I need to leave? And that's the kind of thinking we gotta have. Like I said, we talk a lot about that on my show and I give them class and stuff, but that's the thing about when we want to get into business, do certain things, educate yourself. Educate yourself. Because there's enough people that want to work, that work hard. Work hard, you're going to get tired. You're going to work hard. And we have sometimes say work smart. You're smart before they go broke too. But you got to sit here and educate yourself, plan, put all that stuff together. And you're going to have, 4 steps forward, 8 steps back. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I just want to leave this with you guys before we open the floor for questions and stuff. Just make sure you put yourself in a situation where you're getting educated. Be realistic how you walk. Be very realistic. What kind of person you are. That's what trying to take your personal finances. You start looking at investing, looking at business. Be realistic what kind of person you are. What kind of temperament you got. What kind of time frame you got. What kind of constraints. You got a family, don't got a family. You might go in with different challenges and stuff and everything. We look at it a lot all the time, this going back to the education piece. One of the biggest things we hear a lot of times, man, we need to get more black-owned banks. We need to get more black-owned banks. How many people think we need to get more black-owned banks?
Yeah.
All right. Give me a reason why we need a black-owned bank.
But I think if we invest in our banks, I think our banks start investing in us.
Okay, what you mean by investing in us?
In our communities. I think now that the community banks have shown that they have a proven record, that they'll take a bigger risk than somebody that wants to start local.
Gotcha.
You see, like somebody out of this community, they're going to this community bank down the street for 2 years. That community bank got a relationship with that person, so let's say, hey, listen, well, I'm willing to give you $35,000 on your micro business owners.
Gotcha.
Or instead of going to Bank of America, who's probably going to look at you, think you're high risk or whatever, and they're not going to give it to you. Might turn it down. Because on average now, it just came out with the current commission report that big banks have turned down a lot of small businesses 3 times more likely than white before you can get them a loan.
Gotcha.
Look for us to get turned down 3 times before we get the loan.
Gotcha.
We did nothing different. The white individual came in there with the same type of, let's say, business plan.
Gotcha. Let me throw this at you. Brother, do you have a reason why?
I mean, it was similar to what he was saying.
Gotcha.
Basically, investing in the community.
Gotcha.
Mine is inspiration.
Inspiration.
Inspiration, mine is inspiration and aspirations. As to far as we have more black-owned businesses, banks, then it inspires another young brother that sees that as it can happen. So it may not be from maybe a financial standpoint, but it's just for building the community. It's a start to elevate the mind that it's possible. Because a lot of people don't even think it's possible. How can I ever own a black-owned bank? How can I ever own a bank as black, young black men and women? So I think it's aspiration and inspiration.
I would say I think that you should build up the black bank because dealing with these black banks, it's hard dealing with them because not the customer service is okay, but they're not as structured like the bigger banks. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to deal with them because I'm dealing with one now that I go through hell trying to get to them. You know what I mean? Just to get to them. So it's just okay, fuck it, I can just go deal with other banks and then be like, hey, I'm dealing with these people because I can deal with them. You know what I'm saying? I can get on the phone, I can email them, they email me right back. You know what I mean? So,
And I like what he said because when I read Robert Allen, Black Capitalists and White Americans, he talks about this. Because even though we call ourselves a black bank, because we still have to look at the white infrastructure. See, the FDIC still regulates the loan. They determine the deposits. They determine everything that goes through the country. And see, they make you scrutinize the black bank when they scrutinize.
That's right.
That's why they're going to become harsher on you.
All right. Well, let me throw something at y'all. Everybody talking. I'm going to be very honest with you. Great, we can go with Congo forever and everything and stuff like that. It's still gonna come 2 damn things. They come free. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if the bank black or white. If you don't, we can say, man, the inspiration doing stuff in the community. We got a relationship. I like them. I love them. It don't matter. I secure government loans. I secure SBA loans and stuff. I say to tell you, it don't matter. At the end of the day, could you sit here and you go to some white banks and they're not gonna approve you because you're black? Absolutely. See here go to some black banks and they sit here and don't approve because you're black? Absolutely. Are you going to have some customer service and operational issues at some black banks? Absolutely. Are you got the same thing as some white banks? Absolutely. That's just across the board. But at the end of the day, it's still going to come down to credit, how much money you can. The reason why I'm saying this is that at the end of the day, we can sit here and ask for stuff. We want black banks, we want black business. But if we don't know how to attain it, we don't know how to bank, we don't know what it takes to secure those funds, it don't damn matter. You know, even from a business standpoint, if we don't know how to run businesses, that's what I'm saying, knowing how to sit here and forecast, how to manage, how to account, market, how to do all that kind of stuff, it don't damn matter. Your business don't close. You can have a business that can be in any one of these areas, don't matter, whatever. And you make millions of dollars because they selling the products worldwide because the world is flat. And you be saying, how that little one place over there making all that money? And matter of fact, you might not even know it. But because they have a certain market or niche, they're doing that kind of stuff. So we start doing that stuff with the banks. That's why I said we want to make sure we think about this kind of stuff. The issue is not the banks. We don't know how to bank. And until we get empowered with it, it doesn't matter. They're going to damn close. We had them. We had it. And if you went to any one of them banks, Trust, Cap City, you think about the ones we got here, most of them in that too ain't black. They ain't black. When you go open up an account, they take a savings account. Like I say again, it's going to still come down to you can say, hey man, what's going on? Give them love. You know, they know your wife and they're not going to give you no loan. If your credit score ain't there, if your income ain't there, the only thing they can add to is you got a collateral. Maybe add to it. But if that's not there, it doesn't matter at all. It does not matter. I can guarantee you that. If you get access to capital, with those two hurting, it doesn't matter. If we start looking at a business loan, what we're looking at, that's those first two again. Income, credit. Now we're looking at experience, we're looking at industry, and then we're looking at there's one more. Collaterals. And if two of those out, you just ain't gonna get a loan. Two of those off, you just not getting a loan. So it's not an issue of death. Like what I said, I want the inspiration. I want to see it there. But at the end of the day, if we don't know how to keep it, we can ask for different black businesses. We can ask for all this kind of stuff. But if we are not taught or know how to keep it, I want to keep going at the top. But damn, because hey, nobody forcing you not to read. Nobody forcing you not to learn. But if you don't know how to keep it, it doesn't matter. They can give it to us. They can turn around and give us all the reparations we got. If we don't know what to do with it, we're going to be what? Wrapped around Greenbrier Mall buying some more Jordans. We're going to be buying some more Teslas. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can give you land. You're going to do reverse mortgage, put cash out, and lose it. I can give you a business. You're going to run into the ground. I give you money. It's gone 6 months to a year. Top. Because you don't know what to do with it. It don't matter. Don't fall for that game. Don't fall for that game. Because I'm telling you right now, they even be bold enough to give us reparations. That's your one moment. And once that check cut, it's over. We gave it to you. We gave it to you. Once you know how to do it, you know how to do it. You can lose it all and get it back. Because what? You knew how to do it. And that's it. Nobody can take that from you. But once we always asking and trying to sit here and scrap off stuff, make it quick, we always going to be losing. You always going to be asking. That's the most powerful feeling in the world, especially for a man. You know what you can do. You know what you can do. And you have that confidence yourself. I can get it back. I know what to do. But you in control of that. You in control of that. And again, it goes back into that painful stuff. Now, I didn't know I didn't do it because of this or whatever. When we reflect on ourselves, that it hurts. We start thinking about past mistakes and stuff like that, but I don't look at it like this is a mistake or something being wrong. That's a teaching standpoint. We sit there looking, okay, cool, I learned from that. But that's what we got to force ourselves to do. When we talk about knowing our constitutional rights, when we start talking about financial literacy, business and investing, put the pressure on yourself. Put the pressure on yourself. And when you put the pressure on yourself, only you do then is look at the man in the mirror. All right. Well, I'm gonna leave that. That's everything, right? That's enough to run my mouth for me. I will open the floor. Anybody got any questions about anything?
Yeah, I got a question. Would you be able to speak to, I guess, not maybe so much in depth, or I don't know how much knowledge you do have on it, but just about as, like you said, you can have the black-owned banks, but if you don't have the credit and the financial background you know, when they go to looking into you, then it don't do you no good. So if you can speak to like how to make sure, or little tips to help your credit or to improve your credit, or just for you to be able to be in the conversation when you go into the bank. Because if you get in there, don't even know where to start, then you're at a loss already.
Absolutely. The best advice I can get anybody, especially if you thinking about starting a business and you do the business, get access to capital when you don't need it. And what I mean by that is, to the point you say having a relationship, hey, listen, I'm cool with you looking, we looking to open a bakery up next year and stuff like that. I'm in the process just brainstorm, getting everything together. Look, I may need a loan or whatever to get everything started, get some equipment. What will I need? Okay? The last thing you need to do is try to get money when it's time for you to open up, or you're ready to open up, when you're ready. Get all that stuff you don't need, get access to it. Go around who the banker is being. Let him know who you are. And what that does is what? That makes you're not in a pile of applications. Spend that time, spend that year prior to. Because again, so if you just wake up in the morning, I want to start a business, so that's kind of scary. You want to go out there and do it, you don't have an experience with it. If you say you got passion about it, you say, look, I'm going to make this happen. I don't care. Like I said, it took me 2 years to leave my job. It took me 2 years, not because I was scared to do it. I just knew I had to get myself financially to the point. Like I said, I got to cover my cost of living. I had 4 children. So I couldn't, just jump up and do that. But I knew I was going to leave. So that's the thing about getting access to capital. And what I mean by that, once you go talk to a bank, you can go down to any Bank of America, SunTrust, any black-owned bank, have that conversation. What are y'all parameters for small business? And that's the thing about it. Because again, some might say, look, we don't deal with construction. We don't deal with restaurants. We don't deal with clubs. Some that can be their niche. So that's the thing about it. Get access to capital when you don't need it. That's the best thing I do. Y'all have a relationship, and then they can, go from there. And that's the thing. The key with that is what? Patience. Because you sit there, they say, look, man, it may take 6 months, you got some issues here. Take care of that, come back see you in 6 months. That's what a lot of folks get turned off and get in their rush moves. The rush moves cause the problem.
Yeah. You spoke about criteria. So my question is based on time. When we look at someone, they're serious about starting a business, but they don't have none of the things that you're talking about that would give them a loan right then and there. Realistically, what is the time frame that you would say to someone? It's like, hey, if you don't have nothing but a good idea and you want to start a business, realistically, it's going to take you this much time to set yourself up to have the criteria to where somebody is now like, we're going to give you some money. Is that 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years? What's your advice on that?
I can't really give a number on that because everyone comes to different situation. You just fresh out of bankruptcy. Can't sit and say, because you got, what I always say to people is, turn the table around. You don't know me, you start laying down your troops in front of you. Man, bro, I feel the spirit. Everything I got it. And it's too big a risk. Spin that table around, would you do this? You gotta kind of look at it. You coming out the street and doing that. That's why I'm big on the relationship. It's kind of hard to say the time frame because, again, it depends on what kind of constraints you come to the table with and everything. Let's say everything's clean. All that don't kind of constraints might be you might not have experience or whatever. It's still gonna come down. Like I said, that's why you want to know them because they'll let you know this is what we can do. And also, like you don't have to be so stuck. Be open to there may be different ways you gotta get money. I'm not saying go to a loan shop, but you may go to a situation where you may get something at higher rates or something like that. You just gotta be able to give them kind of cost. If I get this money, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. How is that gonna alter stuff? If you don't necessarily want to be a little bit more uncomfortable with going somebody that's gonna let you borrow at a high rate, you may say, look, I don't really do, I can postpone it. Or you may say, well, look, I just want to enter into this, I want to get everything started, I'm having these issues, let me partner with somebody. Look, we may do a split, they do consulting real estate in this office, I do accounting, let's go half on the rent or whatever and everything. We can do that. I mean, you just got, like I said, can't think outside the box. You don't, just because things can't be done right in and now don't mean it can't be done. You might have to just put it off just a little bit more, but you got to kind of think outside the box. But I don't necessarily know if you can count it, I can give you a number with that, because again, it's still going to come back to what you come to the table.
Best practices?
Best
practices in order to prepare yourself then to do those things. Because again, I know what you're saying about the bankruptcy, but let's just look at this as these are just interested, honest people that they want to get in, they want to do it, but it's already counted against them. So we're saying best practices to prepare to make sure you get the loan.
Gotcha. I'm telling you, one of the easiest things I tell everybody to do. Again, it's still gonna come to. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think you will be realistic to think if you don't come with your stuff together. When I say stuff together, just say certain criteria, whatever. That you don't get. I mean, just being realistic. And I don't even think that's a color thing. That's just period. Because like I said, when you spin them tables around, would you be inclined to do it? Now, if you got the money and it's on their spirit to do it, I can say that. But I mean, realistically, that's how I look at it. But I would tell anybody that that's a good question. Everybody here, U.S. citizens, we get federal government, you got y'all heard of the SBA. You have an SBDC office in every county in the state of Georgia, Small Business Development Center in every county. You can go to your local SBDC office, free to every citizen. You can go in there and set an appointment, free of charge, tell them what you want to do. They got access database to hundreds of banks. That's all their job is to help you get your business started and get funded. Like I said, I don't secure SBA loans over $100,000, over $150,000. That's what I'm sitting there telling you. Everything don't have to be together, but it's the difference is when you go in that office and that person got, Jim, this ain't my friend Jim, they got a bank in California. They might not know anybody here. They can call them, they can get you that loan. Now I go in there and try to go to Deonte, put my application in SunTrust down the street, that lasts me out the door. But I had a lady at the SBA office, she called and made them call. She knew what to do with it. That's free. Take advantage of it. Now, what's the drawback of it? If you want to look at the drawback, when you call them today, they may can't get you in August 15th. The next appointment may be August 30th. But they'll give you stuff to do in the meantime, but that's free. And I would just recommend, like, look, if you start off, you're kind of limited with knowing just, like Brother Zion mentioned, just best practices. They'll sit here and teach you free of charge how to make a business plan. Kind of like a business one-on-one roughly. But again, I tell you, like, right down the street, you can get the basic classes they got at Atlanta Metropolitan for associates in business. We talking about what? Just you don't have to get a degree, but we talking about that maybe 10 months, 10, 12 months. Just take no basic classes. You'll get enough knowledge on how to run a business. You ain't gotta get a bachelor's degree. They'll give you that accounting 101, management 101, marketing 101. That'll put you so much further ahead. You get it. I'm gonna get you one. I'm gonna say this though. This is one of my rules. Either you're gonna pay for your education, or you're gonna pay for somebody to fix it. They got there. One or two gonna happen. You can just pay and sitting there, hey, and you might not consider paying as much money as you got a bachelor's degree, but the money that you didn't spend to do that, you're gonna be paying somebody else to fix it. Either way, it's gonna get paid regardless. By you sitting in the classroom, you're paying somebody else to fix it. 1 to 2. It's gonna come out.
The question that I had was, could you speak to the power of the black dollar? Not just speaking to the degree of that it's powerful within itself, but more so how it's powerful. A lot of people speak on say, oh, the black dollar is powerful in the community, but I want to hear more about how is it powerful, if you could.
But the biggest thing is, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I think what happens when we start looking at the original talking about black dollar is we don't have the actual proper black participation or coalitions to sit there and power that dollar. Because at the end of the day, we look at what we say, by definition, how we look at how the community set up. We say, okay, we want more money going in our community, but is that the community set on race, where I stay at, where I work at? How we gonna base that on? Okay? Because again, I can't sit here and restrict you to say, look, man, we all need to be staying over here. I ain't finna go stay with that bank here no more. I stayed up a house and grew up in, and I mean, probably, let's say, none of the changes going on in there and everything. Would you be still over there as you progress in life? You want to take your family here, or you want to do that, for whatever reason. And I can't sit here and just, trip on you about that.
Yeah.
So we start going back to the community aspect, how we're going to roll it, right? And so when we start talking about the power of it, it's really, to be totally honest with you, how businesses and people are going to view, how they're going to work there. Because I'm not the first, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really believe when they say, okay, the dollar rotates so many times in the white community, Asian community. I don't really believe that. The reason why I say that, to go back to the point I'm bringing up originally. How the hell is the dollar going together so many times if you see like a segregated area, when I mean segregated area, big group together, let's say you got a strip mall full of Mexican restaurants or Mexican businesses, right?
Yeah, it's rotating over there. Same thing we go, Buford High, we might see, it's all these different ages in the restaurant. That's understandable. But you be in a community, you got an Asian guy next door, he going to the same Walmart, whatever you going to, right? He might go to a different tie shop that you go to and everything. You might go to your tax business and you go wherever. I don't think I think you have some segments. We got, I mean, just from, you go, just say starting at Ralph David Avenue, going all the way to the Cleveland. I mean, these are all black neighborhoods. It's rotating. Do you see any dollar leaving out the black community here? I think we spend what we spend. I just think when I hear that kind of stuff, I just want to get that stuff in. You know, again, because I don't believe that. You know, and I'm a finance guy, but I just don't think. I think the dollar rotates more so where you live, and if you're in a community with it, it does that. But if you out there just you know, our brothers and sisters, if we in traffic, we just making commerce. It's kind of like where you at. Now sometimes, if you know, we love.
But that's why I think it has to be a conscious decision. See, everything has to be based conscious. I used to live around high school Brooklyn, and I've seen it with the $1 students. And see, that's how they, like you said, the infrastructure, they coalition is set up for them. They have their stores, they have their markets, they have everything they cover. They design for their people not to leave outside of their community. And so that's what I'm thinking. If we can set up ours, where we won't leave the community. If we instead of us going to the American Deli that's owned by Asian or Chong Fu Imperial Kings, see, if we start having these stores, people look like us, that's how that dollar can stay in our community and benefit our community. Because now, because we understand the tax base, and you understand tax base. The more that community makes, it has a tax basis, that more things can get done over here. You don't have to worry about potholes. You don't have to worry about schools goddamn with books and printed since 1999, or other schools. Because unfortunately, I live outside the community right now. They don't want to shoot me. I live in Brooklyn, and them kids over there, they got a goddamn school over there, man. I tell you, it look like a damn castle.
Yeah, but to that point,
Let me say one thing. I want to piggyback on what you're saying. I was thinking the same thing because the fact is, our community don't have the things we need, the resources in there because they're moved out. So we have to go outside our community. Like, if you want to eat healthy, if they have a church chicken checkers in our community, okay? If you want to eat healthy, there's other places. So the dollar is moving out of the community still. You know what I'm saying? You can say that we said we spend in our community. Nah, we don't. We spend a lot of our money outside the community.
well, let me say that to this point. That's a great point. And you're still going back to the point I'm saying. Yeah, Ralph Avenue, Cleveland. It's all black dollars rotating. Now, that's a whole different conversation. We start talking about from the social aspect, what kind of black dollar? Low income, or mid income, or high income. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, we know it's not rich. That's why you don't see a Whole Foods or a Publix.
Well, let's be honest with you. From a demographic standpoint, most folks don't want to buy a Whole Food. Black folks don't want to buy a Whole Food. We can sit here and say what we want. Because again, I live in clinical source, I live in Clayton. Right there in that corridor, Jonesboro Road, right there by South Lake Mall. They've had different businesses and different stuff that came up, some of the more high-end restaurants tried to. The area just didn't want it. They black-owned businesses, so what I'm saying is to say that we got to be realistic about certain things about what we're doing. I just don't confuse just a crime or whatever certain things are looking in terms of us not necessarily spending money in our community. I don't look at it like that. And I understand what you're saying in terms of, I'm gonna get you, bro. I understand what you're saying in terms of just like how, we have some of the, I don't know if I do have those areas and stuff like that. We can have that here. It's just that, again, we used to have those things. Well, again, what I said, but I don't think there's nothing wrong with you moving somewhere to do it. I think that a lot of times what's really hurting us from an economic standpoint is more motivation, personal, just desire with some stuff, more than just we just support each other. I think just you have black men. We have no shortage of talent. We have no shortage of ability.
But like you said, you have a lack of information.
Well,
you have to get on that.
lack of information and also motivation. I mean, some brothers. I mean, let's be honest. Some people just really cool with being a par instead of owning. And another thing is going into you seeing yourself on par just equal with a white guy. They are. We cool with getting money. I'm cool with this. Okay. What's your name, brother? Okay, well, I'm sure. If I got more than range, I'm cool with that. But can I sit here with a hundred people say, no, we don't even keep it? I got confidence to do that. And that's the thing about it. I think, like I said, I don't think we had a shortage of black folks and things that make it high income. That whole wealth respect, right? And that's the thing when it comes to when you be wealthy, you know, it takes a whole lot more discipline, motivation, all that kind of stuff. I think that's where they're going from. And a lot of that ain't necessarily personal restrictions. You know, like at that point of the black dollar, I think we can do a lot. But I just use just use one example. I'll get to you real quick. I had a client a couple years ago. Got a beauty supply store. And the black beauty supply store was there. That's one of our major market, industries that we just gave up. The brother said to me, he said, look, man, I need this consultation because my business struggling and everything. And, I got people coming in, but we heard it. And I can't figure out why. His agents kill him. They sell it for half the amount, whatever. He couldn't figure out why. Said they did research, like I came back to him, I told him. I said, this is what's going on. You got these agents that buying them both. They got to make distributors, right? You sitting there looking, they might not necessarily be family, but they going together, going to distributors, buying 1,000, when you only ordering, 40, 50 jars, you buy 1,000 at a time, so they get it for 10 cents. You got to pay a quarter for it, so you got to pay a markup price. They don't really drop your head, do what you need to do. Call all the different big black salons that's in Atlanta. They probably got the same thing going on. If you can't find enough, find them in Metro Atlanta, find them in the state of Georgia. If you got the two states, y'all order in both, meet somewhere, rotate whatever, and then separate everything from there. You look at me like I'm talking Chinese to me. My point to you is that that's what the thing about if you have to start in an uncomfortable position, you just gotta do that. And that's what I'm saying. I done seen that too many times again, where we can just say even brother BMU, I don't know what brother Zion on the counter. We sit here and put stuff in front of people. It's just in us not to quit on our people. But I'm gonna be very honest. We put stuff in front of people. Do this now. The thing we tell you to do might be uncomfortable. It may take time. It don't happen fast. But we put stuff in front of people, and again, they just go down to the basics. People want to be empowered. People want to do certain things. You just gotta be, okay with being uncomfortable. And a lot of folks ain't with that. To be honest with you.
I don't want to keep beating this horse, but I want to make sure I understand what the dynamic of this question is. And when we talk about that black dollar leaving out of the community, are we talking about the fact that we don't have enough black businesses? Because I hear you saying this is Simpson and the black dollar is circulating, but it's where it's landing. If in that community, the Chinese own this, the Arab, the Pakistanis own that, and if everybody is owning something in what we call our community, I don't really think our dollar is circulating, from that standpoint. So my question would be, when we talk about the circulation of the black dollar, are we specifically saying as it lands with other black businesses? Is that what we're looking at?
Well, that's a fair point you just said. Okay, we typically go to black community. To be honest with you, I got your own company business. You got restaurant, barbershop, beauty salon, maybe car shop. What am I forgetting? Liquor store. Most time we don't own those. The Brother Zion's one, you're gonna have a good one of them. You go to a soul food restaurant, it's Asian one. Going to New Orleans seafood, some Asians on. We're not on it. We don't own the major income producers in the community. Most got an Arab run the gas station, and then maybe some Indians run the grocery store, right? But we on the basic stuff. To that point, even if you go in some other community, you may not necessarily see the law office still, and maybe in the Asian community, maybe a white person, right? It just varies to the point. I think it's just really, that's why I say I really don't get too much into the actual how much, or say from a social standpoint, or how much is rotating, because it goes back to what I was saying originally, just that motivation. Do we have people, let's be real, I'm not going to sit here and say, it's quick to notice, why we ain't got a gas station? Why we don't have a grocery store? Why we don't sit here and own a liquor store? Hell, who's stopping you?
Yeah, it's a funny story. I got a funny story. I will share it. 2014. I got a buddy from California. He had a lot of money. So at the gas station that was available, Glenville, about 285. It's Valero now. 40 changed the ownership. So I go to the guy that was handling it was a white man named Bo. I'll never forget it. So when I called him, and I met him back there, he said, he knows that I was a brother, but I got to tell him, he said, what makes you want to go into the gas business? said, they ain't y'all field. He said, airborne. I was making airborne stuff. I said, listen, man. I said, this is our community. I grew up over here. I said, it's time for us to open these gas stations. And so when I got on the phone with him, he put me with Larry. And Larry says that, Larry, here's the thing with Larry. They promise that they're gonna have, if you have one of their franchises, they promise you they're gonna be 5 cents cheaper to when you gas, petroleum, 5 cents cheaper than the competition in that area. So, and I go to my friend and I tell him, I said, man, here's an opportunity. And all we needed, because it was only a 700 square foot little store, but it still had capacity 12 pumps. All they wanted was $75,000. So you know $75,000 gas, and I don't even have it. So when I go to him and I explained to him, I said, man, here's my opportunity. We have gas station. He said, man, I don't want a gas station. He said, Dad, you don't need a gas station. He goes to the auction and buys some cars. Then he said, Dad, he's broke. And then I look at him, I said, see, if he had that gas station, we'd have residuals coming in, we don't have to worry about it. But the thing is, the mentality of our people of only things like buildings, what you say, it's the motivation wasn't there. If I could have got him to see it, if I could have painted a bigger picture, maybe I could have had the level right now.
Maybe not, because at the end of the day, you still gotta want to do certain things.
Yeah, again, you gotta want it.
To your point, I just think it's just, people, we notice it. Why we don't own this, nobody's stopping you from owning it. There is nobody stopping you from opening up that grocery store. There is nobody stopping you from getting that franchise with the gas station. There is nobody stopping you. At the end, the only person hindering you is you.
And that's why I got you. You know, now I need you. I like the gas station and I want to grocery store in this community.
I got you, bro.
And I need you to show me what I need to go into that bank. You can have everything. I need my eyes, not my teeth first.
I got you.
That's why I need you.
We got you covered.
Glad I met you.
You have a question?
Yeah, I guess this might be like a first question. It's about need advice about student loans. So I pay like $560 a month for the last 7 years student loans. 200 of it goes to the principal, so I'm taking an L completely. And I just got a house last year. My credit score is 811. I want to buy one more property. Saving to buy one more property. It could be a commercial or residential. I don't know. I'm thinking about not paying my student loans anymore. Letting it go to default. Waiting 7 years for it to go come up my credits. Take the L credit score after I get my next property. Because I don't care about it. I don't care about the credit score.
I wouldn't advise you that.
Talk to him. Okay.
At the end of the day, if you already got you in the house, you got to sit here and just say, what do you want? Because now you got, the reason why, what would be number one, the reason you have a problem with student loan, because coming out there, you said most of your money going to.
Yeah, I don't like seeing 560 in my life.
I get it. Looking at it wrong. At the end of the day, if you sit on the app, you say, okay, I got this house right here. If you got some equity in your home, you leverage that. And again, we probably had something that we talk about, one of the different strategies with that. You don't never want to see him just quote unquote take the L, so you don't know how much they're going to hinder and everything. But at the end of the day, you have all this equity, you got this whole system, you don't know if you can get sick, you can have different stuff. I mean, because COVID really showed you who had money, who didn't have money. And that's the thing about it. If you sit there and say you can't use it because of credit shots, why do that? You just got to really, because I couldn't necessarily give you an actual answer until I get everything in front of you. But I would never recommend just let that go and get another problem. Because now you sit down putting yourself in the ring for 7 years for doing that. There are things you can do to sit here and strategize, maybe pull equity out, maybe pay more to it, maybe refinance the loan. There are different things you can do to go to it. Because if you got credit, if your credit is well enough to go get you another property to do that, why you just can't refinance at a lower rate? Whereas you be paying the same amount of money, paying more toward the principal. I mean, like that I wouldn't do that. Because like I said again, in that 7 years, what you getting up, when you look at that cost benefit analysis, if I put myself out there for 7 years and can't buy nothing, that's what I can't do. You look at a lot of stuff you can do, you're still paying that. So you refinance at a lower rate. And let me know if you're losing. If you refinance at a lower rate, you're still paying the same amount of money, so you get more toward the principal. You can do more stuff over 7 years, right? So why put yourself in that hole? I'm just saying, if you got a capacity to get a whole other house, I mean, they're telling you to do what? Go get refinanced at a cheaper rate. But I'm speaking in general, without knowing everything, but it's just, I wouldn't be so quick to do that. I mean, you might not be able to get the house next year, the additional rental house next year. It may get for, say, 2 or 3 years from now, but you can refinance that student loan at a lower rate. And now you got more cash, well, you can get able to do more cash come to your house, you want to pay more towards, you can do that. You see what I'm saying? That's what you want to do and what's feasible, they be two more different things.
Yeah.
You gotta go to what's feasible sometimes.
All right, we got one last question right here. Get your closing statements, and then we'll have room for other questions. But just after this statement,
I got a question about that refinance that you may be able to answer. When you refinance, doesn't that start the clock all over?
Yeah, you can start talking, but if you want your goal.
That's all.
Yeah. But let me say this too. You didn't ask this. When we say that, what we're going back to educating. Because we sit here and say, well, I can refinance, and I'm just giving myself just be transparent with myself. I got one property, I just refinanced it because of COVID. They said we do a modification, we're gonna get you credit. I had that house on I think it was probably like maybe year 20 or 30-year mortgage, but the mortgage was like $600. We run a property. They said, look, we can refinance it on modification without being a negative impact for $400. I sit here and clear out. I'm bumping out for $1,000. Now I got a note for $400. I'm clearing out $600 as opposed to the $400 doing before. If I want to pay that $200 extra, I can catch that back up on the principal. So it's to go back to educating yourself and knowing what's on it. Because it may the point to it, but it all go back to it. And again, that's just what I had to spend time just learning on it. Okay, but Deonte Burden, everybody knows Facebook coach and everything. Remember, if you get a chance, please make sure you sign the sign-in sheet. So we make sure on the newsletter, got my cards. Again, we got both YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar. We got Change the Live. The show come on every Thursday at 8 p.m. You go to the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications on there. All the cards, website, everything over there. I appreciate you guys and everything. Appreciate you coming out and sharing your knowledge. I know everybody gained something from that. All right, so look, what we're going to do right now, we got about a few minutes left. So what I want to kind of do is truly open up the floor for a true candid conversation. And in this time, if anybody feel like you have some information that the room may can benefit from, or you have a question that the room may benefit from, we're going to be up here and we'll be able to truly have a candid conversation about those. So we'll get Chris, would you come back up? We'll get Zion to come back up as well. And what we'll do here is, if anyone have any questions, we can address it and we can just truly have a candid conversation with other people. I know we got a few business owners in the room that you probably can chime in, or you may have a question that you ran across a situation that you feel like it can benefit the masses. So at this point in time, that's what we're kind of open up the room to do. And it also leave room for anyone else that's standing up here to be able to piggyback on something or touch on something that they may have forgotten while they were speaking and stuff like that. So because you just finished boosting, I kind of let you go ahead and keep the ball rolling, the momentum going about, just having this pretty much a candid conversation about it, you know what I'm saying? So if you got anything that you wanted to address, if you get a chance to address it, or anybody had a question that you wanted to ask him that you didn't get a chance to ask, you can go ahead and slam that out there and keep the conversation going. Most importantly, just with what's happening again with BMU, again, I want to stress again, we need ladies, we need help. They said again, we had no shortage. We had talked about, black banks, black businesses, different things going on in the community. Again, we get no shortage of people having awareness of our shortcomings and our issues. Everybody sees that. But we have some solutions. Because people have answers. But if we still need legs to make mountains happen. That's what we need with BMU. Just like we need past, we need bodies. We need people help. That's the thing about it. Again, if you got, we start talking about being community service and helping. We're not saying, we understand everybody got to work, everybody got a family. Hell, if it's just a matter of 30 minutes, this week, 30 minutes, or you got to email somebody, call somebody, simple stuff. We didn't actually sit here and do that. Just the littlest thing, we just need help. And everything. That's what it is. So if you can, make sure you please sign in sheet also for BMU and everything, because that's really what we need. Just like a lot of organizations. Because again, everybody sees it. Everybody talks about it. That ain't doing a damn thing. Just make good conversation. But we need legs, we need bodies. So if you have Either one of our organizations, something, you know what I mean? You see that kid in the street, they acting this, that, and man, these kids got damn respect, whatever. Go holler. Little young boy when Boulder Fresh had his water, I rolled him down, gave him $1. He walked out. He man, bring your ass here. You know, I said there, look, I said, hey man, say thank you. He said, I'm sorry. He gave me a pound. I don't know what that young man, you know, he looked like he just rolled out of bed. I don't know what that young man going through. He might have issues at home, whatever. But later on, thing we do a band, they don't even say thank whatever. He might didn't know. He turned around, gave me a pound, sorry. You know, I said, man, just smile before you come for a call. Ask them how they doing. You do that, just smile at them and everything. I gotta do that, right? These things me to sit here and criticize. He didn't know. Boy, he might ask, like I said, I don't know what he might be going through. But he appreciates, especially I came back out and everything. And that's the kind of stuff we gotta be not so quick to criticize or even recognize. You see it, just fix it. Now, he could act crazy with it, I don't know. But the wrong thing means not say that to him. I think gonna say something like they gave my dog. So that's the kind of thing we gotta kind of look at. Yeah, but we gotta kind of look at that and everything. Those little things like that. You know. Now again, when we do that, we gonna get the reception we want all the time. Nah, it ain't gonna happen. Is everybody gonna appreciate our help? No, it ain't gonna happen. And everything. Everybody know how I got when we get the turkeys out, man. I feel like folks get our turkeys or something. They know how I feel about it and everything. But again, I understand the premise is the premise. People need help. And we empower, we know certain things. I do feel like we obligated to help. I'm saying you gotta sit here again, give up the phone, but any little bit you can do, any little bit you can do, just you know, get that time with yourself, okay?
I wanna say something to well, first of all, I appreciate all you guys for coming out, taking the time out your day, coming being here. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely appreciated.
Right.
And what I want to think about is us understanding growth, like understanding like most people get caught up on, you know, you only live once and they want to, you know, spend money here and do that. But we have to start understanding that we need to start planning. Like a lot of us, especially like a lot of us that grew up in the hood, we started so far behind the 8 ball. It's gonna take our generation plus another generation for us to even catch up to get on the even playing field. So we have to shorten the curve for the generation coming behind us, and hopefully shorten our curve too. By making sure that we start putting dollars away, making sure that we start investing, making sure that we start our intellectual property, educating ourselves, so that we, even if we can't pass the money, we can pass on the knowledge to our nephew, our son, our daughter, things like that in the community. So we have to take, like, it may sound, I guess, cliche-ish, but we have to take it serious. Like, serious meaning, like, really maintaining your business, like, whatever you're doing, if it's business or personal, understanding exactly what you're doing. Understanding that, okay, I don't have business, but you are business. And you have to look at it. Even if you're an employee of another company, you have to look at yourself as a business. Because you're investing in yourself. So you got to make sure that you understand that I got to put some of this money away. I got to put something away, start investing. No, I don't know the first place to start. But if I'm going to go to someone and ask them, the first thing they're going to ask you is, okay, how much money have you saved? What have you done? You know, you may not have nothing, but if you can take yourself serious in what you're doing, you will know, I'm going to save this money. So I know when I go to somebody, they can show me what to do with this money. So I think us in the community, we have to start making sure that we take it serious. Like we've been at war for so long and we didn't even know we was at war. We didn't even know we were fighting, but we've been fighting. They've been preparing forever. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of us are just now getting started to prepare, but it's not too late. So every day that you wake up, just understand that you got to try to figure out how to better your situation, how to better the situation for you and the people that surround you. So I implore everyone to make sure that you do this. So I know a lot of us are doing it, but just make sure that every day we take it serious because it's an everyday fight. You know what I'm saying? So,
I would jump in and express Deonte is the expert that pertains to finances. In my education, I kind of stumbled, into an aspect of finances because I'm really looking at what it's going to take for us, as a collective to be competitive, on a global scale. And I stumbled into something called securitization. Once again, this is one of them high-level concepts that they are using to better and or benefit, themselves across the board. We have to bring more of us even into looking at it, to analyzing it, to see how we can get into that game. An example of securitization is all of us here have property, but they benefit off of our property through a concept called securitization. For example, we all got vehicles. The vehicles have titles associated to them, and we know there's worth, because if you take it to the title map, they'll tell you you can get X amount of dollars for the vehicle. But what we don't understand is that that title is a financial instrument. And they're pooling all of these resources under the concept of securitization, and they're using that money to further whatever their agenda is, right? But if we understood, how to separate our asset, from their pool, to say, no, Black Men United, we got 100, people in our organization, 1,000 people, and we're going to pool our own resources. So now we got, $1 billion based on the status of the titles or whatever, and then we can go into market and we can use that for our own benefit, co-op, whatever it is that we're doing. But again, these are concepts that aren't expressed, widely in, our communities. But you think about something, this is why I'm so hard on rights and what our rights are. We own property. Property is a right. Have you ever stood back and asked yourself, how the hell are you taxed on your property? Something you have a right, to own. All of this stuff, they pencil whipping us, dude. They pencil whipping us. And until we look at it and analyze it and find how to separate ourselves from it, that we can then, take ownership and stewardship of it, they're going to continue, to live. They suck in the blood. They're going to continue as a parasite to suck the blood out. But I'm going to tell you this. There's nothing, that say we can't pool our own resources to do the same things that they're doing in these markets, international markets, using these financial instruments, that they're using. And I'm going to throw this in there as a little joke, but it's the truth. When the policeman pull you over and give you that ticket, it's a financial instrument. It's something they use down in Bradstreet. I mean, dude, it's a high-level game they're playing. We got to get in the game, from that aspect and start playing with respect to how we're going to pool our resources, because we too often be trying to look at where we're going to get money from, how we're going to do this. But I'm just saying, we all have it, right there. We just got to re-strategize. We have to re-look at how we're going to attack, how we're going to approach. Now, when I say attack, I'm just meaning, how we're going to, move forward. But securitization is a concept. I'm not the expert, on it. I'm stumbled, into it. I've seen it in real time being played out. I've had some examples, and I'm like, wow, this could benefit us.
Well, I just want to ask everybody if they had any questions about anything you want to talk about, because we had a conversation about whatever y'all think going on. And also that I just want to challenge all y'all guys who came today. The next event we have the same number or more. You tell somebody else about it. So we come in and get bigger. Unity is the biggest thing that we need. So that everything is going on. We're not unified. We're going to go down. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell somebody the next time we have an event. So you got double the amount of people here. You know what I'm saying?
Anybody got any questions? Anything you want to share? Or any knowledge that we probably need to know of? Anything like that?
I want to throw a big bone out, and it's just in regards to just us helping each other. I think one of the biggest things that's hurting us is, as a community, especially with Black men. You see so many times you got different forms, and even let's say with the events we've been going through the past couple of months, trigger with George Floyd and all this stuff going on. You see people, you see different protests, different organizations. You see folks like, I hate Black Lives Matter, I hate this group, I hate this, that, and that. That's one of the biggest things I think hurting us as a community. A lot of times, we just can't really learn how to agree to disagree. The biggest thing when I think about was BMU with 5 of us key members. All of us got different ideologies. I know sometimes they be like, damn, man, you're always
against everything and stuff like that. But I know they appreciate it. And again, that's one thing that, you know, is the maturation of a man, even as a people. You gotta understand, because at the end of the day, no matter how I feel about something, or these other two brothers or the other two brothers, we all got one common goal, that's the betterment of our people. We can, no matter how I feel about this, or how you feel about that, the goal is still what? The goal. And until we can sit here and learn how to put them kind of differences to the side, we always gonna have issues. You ain't gonna, everybody's not gonna like you. Everybody's not gonna like you. And that's why I think, you know, that's what we talk about. Men, we can't be that damn sensitive. Because we trying to make something happen. And I think until we kind of learn how to do that, put all our personal things aside, oh man, he always talk, he do this, he do that. Come on, man, that damn thing gonna happen. That's why you got all these things. Like I said, this is thing, but this will knock you out. All the time. And if we working together, that's how powerful we are. But that's one of the biggest things, you know, just my challenge. You, bro, and anybody talk to me, when we had these conversations, I said, man, that's one of the biggest things. We had these goals we talk about. We gotta be cool with everybody don't see us the world, but the world the same way we do. Everybody don't move the same way we do. But if that view don't really, their views, I'm sorry, rather don't oppress someone or cause a negative impact on someone, it might make you feel a certain type of way. That's just how they feel. But if y'all working towards a goal, that's all that matters. You know, and we gotta really learn how to function like that. Because until we do that, that's the only thing's gonna get done. I mean, see, that's the Congress. That's how it happening. He's a Democrat, he's a Republican. Well, damn, I thought everybody worked for the people. And until you're gonna be able to put that kind of stuff to the side, that's what happens. And unfortunately, being what 12, 13, let me tell you what percent of the population we are, we ain't got enough of us to keep fighting with ourselves and have different agendas to make things that probably better than all of us to the side. Some stuff we got put to the background. That ain't no big deal. That ain't no, some stuff that doesn't matter is irrelevant to us. They just don't matter. And I think till we get to that point, when you do that, then you'll see a whole different development of it. That's what we got to be working for, guys. Like I said, that's one of the biggest things I think that stuck with us. We don't see everything eye to eye, but I know they respect me and I respect them. But the goal is still what? The goal. That's all that matters. And we always work towards that goal. That's why, like I said, that's one of the biggest things I think hurting us now. Is everybody. Now we need to be worried about finances. We need to be worried about laws. We need to be worried about this and that. Everybody got, look, you can't do everything at once. You focus on you focus on that. Look, okay. Put it something aside.
I like to say teamwork is a highly organized structure, and those who understand it best, they are revered. Right? So if you got a goal, you have to understand that teamwork, then you got to respect people that can do what they do. Right?
Yeah. Hey, so out of respect to you guys, if it's okay, I want to go ahead and close this thing out by saying thank you guys. You know what I'm saying? The time is greatly appreciated. Make sure you guys stay in touch. We stay in touch. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all. When we have the next one. Hey, we gonna put it together. Make sure we got some contact information. Make sure everybody got it.